morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. Sorry for the late start this morning. As you can see, the camera looks all different. It just deleted all my cameras off of Streamlabs for some reason. So there we go. But we're here. We made it. We're not on TikTok today. So if you have friends on TikTok, tell them, sorry about your luck. We're not on there. We tried to connect the backup account, and we have to apply for permission from TikTok to use Streamlabs. So no TikTok today. Good. That what is that? The tone girl on Twitch. That one girl. Jesus Christ, nice reading, bro. That one girl on Twitch. I'm glad that gets stuck in your hand. And shout out Biter if you're here for making that theme song for us. And if you need a theme song made for you, I highly recommend reaching out to Biter. Best in the biz. Good morning. We got a lot of stuff to cover this morning. Thanks everybody for joining us last night on Ash Wednesdays. It was weird. It was weird. There was just one guy that kept pretending he was a different guy. Did we talk to anybody but that one person?
I think there might have been a second person. I don't think that was. I think there was one other. The one that was pretending to be Jewish. That
wasn't the
person.
Same guy. That was a different.
No,
person?
it wasn't. That was a different person.
Okay.
But the other guy was. He came up on like 2 or 3 different accounts. I'm gonna have to make a. I'm gonna have to make a list like I did for text. With all his usernames.
It would be good if some of you guys had a little courage and could come up here. A couple of messages. One came in yesterday after that said, this was from Midwest. Said, sorry, whoops. For hopping on the dollar train again, fuck you, clown. And then also said, I would debate you so hard right now, which I appreciate. Oh, that was from last night. So we'll maybe you can be here today, Midwest Clown. And then Alec, this morning, this is for you, Jen. What's the difference between Jen and Kentucky Fried Chicken?
I'm not finger looking good, or
no difference. They're both finger looking good. You were close.
Got it.
You were really close on that one.
Yeah.
Clayton, come on up, bud. Jen will tell you how. Yeah. Go ahead, Jen. Explain it.
Yeah, Clayton. If you can debate and win, send me a message on Discord. Discord's the same username as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Dub with 2 B's, the number 1. And you can actually come up and debate. You probably won't. You'll probably sit in the comments and keep crying because that's mostly what you guys do.
I do think we're kind of just out of actual Trump supporters. I think it's just trolls now at this point. I don't think we have real Trump supporters at all.
Yeah.
Jen,
do you have a light that you could turn on?
Do I? Is it? Yeah. Is dark too dark?
Yeah, it's a little dark. But that was.
Yeah. Give me a second.
You want to make? Oh, okay, Clinton. Just say you're scared, and that's fine. No one's gonna cry. You won't have facts. You won't have anything. So.
A little natural light.
Yeah, open a window.
Mess with the filters. Looks like I have jaundice today.
That's been a thing you've had before. That's not new.
Yeah, it's some setting on my. I think it's the jaundice setting on my
jaundice filter.
What is it called? Let me find my camera. I forgot what it's called. Keep doing announcements. I'm going to find my camera.
All right. Anyways, so yeah, we're not on TikTok today, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to hit the gift goal. So if you guys can help us out, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats. This is our job. We do this each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So it's how we keep the lights on. So that would be awesome if you guys could help knock that out. If you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. And if you're on YouTube, like the stream, so it can help push it out and get more people here. Like I mentioned to Clayton, which he won't, you can come up if you disagree with RTP. You can send me a message on Discord. Like I said, my Discord's the same as the Venmo, so Jen with 2 N's, Dub with 2 B's, the number 1, and I can bring you on. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. So we've got March J's on Cameo, and we upload these episodes to Spotify.
What did Clayton choose for his excuse for not coming up? I didn't see it.
So he's saying that he doesn't want to make you and in the chat cry. And then he said, any tears, please. Make sure to land here. Put a bucket. So he's just being a coward.
Yeah, you're doing good, buddy.
So, I mean, if Clayton, we could just time you out for a while.
Are you crying about crying?
You can't cry in the comments.
I like, who said that? Are you crying about crying? I like that. That's pretty good.
You have double B's, Patrick. That wasn't a good joke.
Oh, swing and a miss, bud.
Yeah. Anyways, I didn't grab. I'm trying to skim my old joke list thing. I don't have here. God originally wanted cows to make honey, but they were always moody after making milk, so he went with Plan B.
No. All right. Look, here's how we're going to start things off today. We're going to start things off with something that I really hate. I hate that I'm showing this. I hate that this is like the second time I've shown an Ashley St. Clair clip. And I'm only showing this because everybody, like all these right-wingers are legitimate grifters. We overuse that word, but they're legitimate grifters. And there's been many rumors about Benny Johnson time and time again. And Ashley St. Clair appears ready to spill the beans. So we're going to get this out of the way.
For Benny Johnson. Since I came forward about my experience with that predator, Madison Cawthorn, I had...
Oh, yeah, she made another video about Madison Cawthorn, if you remember Madison Cawthorn. Oh, yeah, video. Thank you, guys. I guess she made some video about him being a predator, which is... No, like that's like the 20th accusation against Madison Cawthorn.
Mentioned in my video that Benny Johnson, I had disclosed to him that I had experienced this behavior with Madison Cawthorn, and that Benny has continued to platform this awful human being. However, I'm not a consumer of Benny Johnson content because I value my IQ, and I'm not one of his cerebral speed bump boomer followers. Unfortunately, I've watched his content in the last 24 hours because it's been sent to me. And before yesterday, I was unaware of the content that Benny Johnson had been putting out about me on his show, including about my family and my children, and that I should lose my child, that I am not a sane parent, that I am a narcissist, making up lies about my...
I don't know what her part is. I don't think I had really ever seen Ashley St. Clair. I didn't know she was like a legitimate content creator. I only knew her because of Elon. This is now the second video I've seen of her.
Finances and my family situation. So, Benny, I have been sitting on the receipts of you for far too long. You and your sociopathic behavior and the way you operate your businesses and your grift. So you want to go, Benny? You want to talk about my children and make this personal? Let's go. Because I have been sitting on this for far too long.
I feel like she keeps saying sitting on it for a reason.
And guess what? A lot of people have been sitting on things about you for far too long. And I will remind you that if you live in a glass house, stop throwing stones for your little Facebook dollars. TTFN, you're next.
No way. No way. Okay. What's that you say?
And Benny.
What is TTFN? What does that mean? I don't know. She does sound crazy. I'm with you actually on that, Patrick. They're all crazy, Patrick.
Talk to you.
Ta-ta for now.
Talk to you later now or something like that.
Ta-ta for now, everybody's saying. Thank you.
Yeah, ta-ta for now, yep.
That is even dumber. Everybody on the right that is still like involved in political live streaming is a fucking psycho. There's nothing left for them to cover that makes any sense. So if anybody who's still like repping this administration, they're doing it for dollars.
I wouldn't even try to retroactively delete anything on Telegram because I backed it all up.
All right, I don't care about that. She's just calling Benny Johnson gay, which we'll see. See if that comes. That's about the 30th person to accuse him of that. Another person I don't want to show all the time, but this just made me laugh. Our good friend Candace Owens, who took a break from calling Macron's wife trans and saying that Erica Kirk killed Charlie Kirk, now is exposing Fox News's deceptive Newsies deceptive editing.
Bad, right? The turnout was so bad.
Sorry. Let's preface this a little bit. We showed clips yesterday of JD Vance speaking in, I believe they were Georgia, and there were tens, potentially hundreds of people there in an 8,000 seat arena. And then there was an event that was canceled for Erica Kirk. And what they said is they canceled it because Erica Kirk was getting threats. I think that Erica Kirk wasn't going to have anybody show up. And I think that's why they canceled it. And I think that's what Candace Owens is saying too.
If we go back and re-watch that Fox News clip, they're actually showing you fake footage. Well, it's not fake footage, it's real footage, but it's fake B-roll because it's from old Turning Point events. This is how sloppy the Hasbro is. We'll show you this. We'll scroll here. Not the venue. Not the venue. And yet in the corner, it says Andrew Colvett via X on Tuesday because it says Athens, Georgia. This is not true. This is true propaganda. And we took a closer look at it, and they
that's not even
spliced together.
This obviously isn't an arena. This is a theater. This is a different place. Where JD Vance was speaking was a basketball arena. This is a theater.
There are 3 separate events so that they could
and then that's an arena.
Show something of substance.
Not the right arena.
Andrew spoke. That is humiliating. That is humiliating. And he's there pitching a story, a sad story about why they couldn't do it because it's your guys' fault. You didn't keep air ad, right?
Let's not tone police. I'll still show Candace Owens videos when she says things that I like. Let's not do that. Anyways, things are going really well. JD Vance is going to lose in a landslide. Whoever you guys put up is going to get absolutely dusted. Ronnie, why do you want me to show Older Millennial? We've all seen Older Millennial before. Nobody was surprised that he went on a racist rant. It's what he does. He's a dipshit. Chris said, happy Friday. Thank you. It is Thursday, though. So I hope it is your Friday. And thank you very much, Gibson Girl, for the gifted subs. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're not watching Older Millennial. He just let the mask slip a little bit, but not even that much. We've seen him say worse stuff. Well, I don't know if he's ever sober, but relatively sober compared to his racist tirade. That's not even, I don't even know if that is like top 10 worst clip of him, but he looks like he's losing a battle against his liver. He doesn't look good. I don't know if those Netanyahu checks are still coming in or not. I'm not sure how if his money supply is drying up, but he looks really, really bad. I do pity him at this point. It's like he's almost past the point of me hating him. I'm just like, man, this dude, his life just fucking sucks. You watch Candace for the Israel and Erica content? Yeah, look, some of them are good. Tucker Carlson's done some good journalism. Sometimes they get it right. Let's do it. It is Friday Eve. Thank you. All right. This is what I want to talk about. Is this the one? Yeah. Do you guys remember when they launched the Trump coin and they had a party? This dude, his name is Nick O'Neill. He was like live streaming that whole event. There was that event where they were like 250 top purchasers of the Trump coin were going to get to meet Trump and like have a private dinner with him. But he just came in for like 20 minutes and then he left and they were all like, what the fuck? And some of these people spent like millions of dollars to be with Trump and they were all pissed off. Well, now they're pissed off for a different reason. We told you yesterday about World Liberty Financial and how they have been using their tokens as leverage to take out loans and trading that in for cash. People are obviously cashing out on these World Liberty Financial tokens, and it's all insiders. And now this.
While Trump's crypto scandal just got way worse. Less than a week after getting caught draining nearly $150 million from their own lending pool, World Liberty Fi removed the entire team page from the website, including the entire Trump family. Their largest investor called it a personal ATM. They threatened to sue him, and the token crashed to all-time lows. Now they have the gall to create a new proposal which offers to burn 10% of the insider tokens in exchange for a clear path to sell the other 90%.
Now, if you don't know what he's talking about, that's fine. I'm going to explain it here in a minute. It's a quick video, and then I'll explain what he's talking about.
Sounds like a sacrifice until you realize they couldn't sell any of the tokens anyways. For signing this new agreement, investors get a slightly improved unlock schedule, which includes legal agreements that almost certainly waive their rights to sue anybody over any of this. If you don't opt in, your tokens are locked indefinitely. No other options. Take the deal or hold the bag forever. Insiders don't need a single retail vote for this proposal to pass either, which means that this is effectively just a notice. To add insult to injury, the Trump family entity already took $412 million in the initial token sale. They got paid on the way in, and now Trump's family is poised to take an additional $1.5 billion on the way out. They drained the pool, scrubbed the team page, and now they're asking the people they already extracted money from to sign away their legal rights in exchange for getting their own tokens back.
Now, remember, this is an investor. This is an investor. This is somebody who, not trying to take Trump down. He spent millions of dollars to go meet with Trump on the Trump token. But here's the post from World Liberty Financial. And I'll try and explain this here. They said, we've just posted a governance proposal to the Forum for Community Discussion, and we believe it represents one of the strongest long-term governance alignment signals in DeFi. If you ever wonder to yourself, like, if this seems complicated, the terminology that they use, what you need to know is that these are all criminals, and they use this type of language to sound like they're doing something legitimate. But they're all just lying. When they say a new governance proposal, what they're saying is, we just posted new rules that we made up. And it's to the Forum for Community Discussion. You guys are all welcome to discuss this. We believe it represents one of the strongest long-term government alignment signals in DeFi. We think these are the best new rules in DeFi. What is it? They said every advisor, institution, partner, founder, and team member locked token, all 45 million World Liberty, or is that 45 billion? Billion. So that's everybody, just all the investors. That's the total amount of tokens that they have, is assigned to a 2-year cliff with a 3-year linear vest upon opting in, and subject to a 10% burn on doing so. Up to 4.5 billion coins permanently destroyed. And they say this is the least favorable unlock terms in this proposal and is subject to a mandatory burn opt-in. So what they're saying is they would basically take 10% of these tokens and they're gone. 4.5 billion totally gone. And that would make everybody else's coins worth a little bit more. Then they say they're assigned to a 2-year cliff, meaning they can't sell anything. Yeah, it's not English. It's nonsense. So that's why we have to explain it. This 2-year cliff just says you can't sell it. We've changed the rules. You can't sell anything for 2 years. And then after 2 years, you have a 3-year vesting schedule. If you're familiar with like vesting, it just is like, it's a schedule that says, here's when you can sell stuff. So they're basically telling them for 5 years, this investment that you have, we've just changed the rules and you can't sell any of this shit. And they're also admitting that in order to keep the value of these coins high, what they may have to do is permanently destroy 4.5 billion coins. I don't know where they're getting those coins. They don't explain where they're getting those coins. They may be sold off. And this is what I think he's saying, is that they're going to take these 4.5 billion coins and they're going to burn them, which means they're going to sell them and won't allow them to be repurchased. And whoever sells these coins is going to make a lot of money. But they control who's allowed to sell these coins. So who do you think they're going to let sell these coins? And I think that this 4.5 is what equals out to the 1.5 billion they think the Trumps are going to get here. For early supporters, all 17 billion of your coins will be locked. Early supporter tokens move to a 2-year cliff followed by a 2-year linear vest. So like, but we've got a better option for you. If you were here early and you agree to this, now they have to sign an agreement for this. And the agreement is absolutely going to say that you have to sign this new agreement that says you can't sell any of your coins. You don't understand a word I'm saying. All right, let me see if I can slow this down. All right. Let's say that we all buy a big plot of land. We buy 10,000 acres of land. And you can buy it at, it's a big purchase and we all buy 1 acre at a time. And they say you own that acre. You can sell it whenever you want. If the value goes up, you can sell that acre. You can take your money and run. If the value goes down, you can sell it. But in this scenario, they're saying you can't sell any of this acreage. Now, we're creating new rules. You have to hold on to all of your acreage for 2 years. Can't sell it. Not allowed to sell it. After that 2 years, you'll have a 2-year vesting schedule where you'll be able to sell off like parts of that acre or however much you have during that 2 years. So they're saying if if you were an early investor, you don't have to wait 5 years. You have to wait 4 years before you can sell any of this stuff. Now, this is just what happened is just barely when Justin Sun came out and accused the Trumps of running a Ponzi scheme and using it as their own personal ATM. The value of World Liberty Financial dropped because people sold off. And so this is the Trumps panicking because they're running a Ponzi scheme. And the only way the only way to mitigate this is to change the rules and lock people's tokens, making it impossible for them to sell these tokens. It's very similar to what we're seeing in private equity right now. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, where these private equity companies that are funding these AI projects, people are trying to pull their money out of these funds, and the funds are saying, no, you can't. Sorry. You can't take your money out. So they're watching their money be devalued, and there's no option for them to take out. So all of these investors are watching their investment drop in value, and the response to that from the Trumps is the only way to protect this is you can't sell. So now, and then you have to sign this agreement that says you're in on this. If you don't sign the agreement, you're going to lose your tokens. If you do sign the agreement, there's going to be language in there that says you can't sue us either. Like this is why we say like crypto is such a fucking scam. They say at the beginning like this is a governance proposal for the community to discuss, but they've already set the rules. There is no discussion here. They're just doing it. So if you're new, you're good. Why does this matter? They say 62 billion tokens are subject to this proposal, and if passed, will remain committed to the governance participation for at least 2 years. Billions of tokens are permanently burned upon opt-in. The rest, every founder, team member, advisor, partner, and early supporter token remains locked in for governance participation for a minimum of 2 years. Either way, the World Liberty Financial ecosystem commitment to long-term governance and market supply has never been more clear. This is fucking gibberish. None of this is real. None of this shit is real. They're just saying there's a value assigned to this. The value is dropping. We need to protect that value so that we can keep your money. So all that money you spent, it's locked in now. There's no tangible asset here. And we're looking at the Trump family walking away with $1.5 billion off of this. 1.5 billion. Yeah, that's true. The guy from the OC made a whole documentary to expose crypto as a scam. He's trying to get theater released. I've seen clips. I haven't seen it. I heard it's great. Yeah, new rules to... Exactly. There you go, Big Stuff fan. New rules to apply to something that already purchased to rules sounds illegal as fuck to me. Yeah, but who's going to investigate it? Todd Blanche? Damn, Party Kiki, thank you for the gifted subs. Appreciate that. Axe said Antifa dues, they're late. Thanks, Trudy and Draco, for carrying my ass. Thanks, RTP and Jen, and all the mods for your hard work. Appreciate that. Illusion said, happy Friday, guys. No work tomorrow. I promise. I have work tomorrow. I will be here tomorrow. Don't you worry about it. All right. In the last year, then they just brag. In the last year, our ecosystem, it's not an ecosystem. Stop saying ecosystem. You tricked people into giving you money, and then you took bribes so that foreign entities would give you money. It's not an ecosystem. This is just a slush fund for you. Has built USD1, the fastest growing stablecoin in history. Thanks for all the bribes. Thanks Qatar. Thanks Justin Sun. National Trust Bank Charter application. We filled out an application. Chainlink proof of reserves. They're just proving that they have like cash reserves, I guess. They're bragging about being able to lend and borrow and agent pay, which I don't really know what that is. So they're just doing a scam. And we're just going to pretend that they're not doing a scam because this is America. This is Trump's America, where we just steal from people. He's just openly stealing from people. This is a W in a way. All the morons who voted for him got scammed by him. It's unfortunate he made that much, though. Yeah, it could be. What I don't understand is like the first guy, the Nick, whatever his name is. What I don't understand is how all these people in the crypto space watch scam after scam after scam, and then they just stay there. Like, yeah, we're just going to keep investing in crypto. Why do any of you have crypto at this point? We don't have. You haven't figured that out yet? Get out. I'm reading the legal definition of coercion. There might be a legal pathway there. Oh, you might be talking about something else. Okay. But that's not the only corruption that we're talking about. This was last week, actually, I think. This is Katie Fang from Midas Touch. I had missed this. Admittedly, I had a very non-sober week last week on my week off, so I had missed this. But this morning, we're now finding out that Jeanine Pirro is moving to dismiss the charges and sentencing of the Proud Boys. You know, the people that did like seditious conspiracy? You know, those people? The ones that are traitors to our country. Now we're removing their charges so they have clean records. And there were some other things I didn't realize here. Some other people who have lied for Trump, committed crimes for Trump, who are now being reimbursed by the government for lying for Trump.
I don't have to tell you that this is so typical of what has happened in this administration. Remember I talked at the beginning of this episode how there's other stuff going on? Here we go. Michael Flynn sued and now is going to be given $1.5 million for his lawsuit for what? For claims that he was wrongfully prosecuted as a part of the FBI's investigation into Russian interference in the...
Can we talk about this? He pled guilty. He said, I'm guilty. And now he's saying he was wrongfully prosecuted. He pled guilty. And now taxpayer money is going to go to him, $1.5 million for pleading guilty to doing actual crimes.
The 2016 election. Who else? Oh, yeah, that's right. Ashley Babbitt's family getting $5 million, even though she was violating the law, committing felonies, right?
Multiple.
And she was shot on January 6th during an insurrection. Okay. Who else? Remember, we also have the Trumps. The Trumps are suing. Donald Trump with his sons, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, are suing for $10 billion. The IRS and the Treasury Department saying that those agencies failed to take adequate measures to protect tax information. Then you got...
What are the damages there? What do you even claim your damages are there if you're the Trumps? They made it so we couldn't run for president? No, you ran for president again and you won.
5 members of the Proud Boys, after pardoned, they're suing in Orlando federal court for unspecified compensatory damages plus $100 million in interest in punitive damages.
They're going to get it too.
I mean, that is just a snapshot of the type of bullshit litigation that is happening right now. You got to blame the plaintiffs themselves, number one, for their own culpability and their own conduct. And the fact that they're bringing lawsuits is just because they feel empowered to do so. But number two, I blame the lawyers too. This Austin Carr, Alex Brito in Miami, who's the flavor du jour for the Trump legal team, right? I mean, these
This is Katie Fang from Midas Touch.
Brilliant lawyers, right, are just facilitating this bullshit bad faith litigation. But that's what is happening here, right? This is the absurdity of what is happening. And though you want to talk about weaponization, you hear Trump and others bitching about weaponization of the judicial system. This is weaponizing the judicial system the opposite way, right?
This is tough for the trolls today. Like the trolls can't figure out a whataboutism here. They're all putting their heads together right now. All 9 of their brain cells are banging against each other. Like, can we find some sort of whataboutism here? Have you noticed that the trolls are being very quiet today?
And the thing is, I want to remind the lawyers that are participating.
Yeah, Ramboni, there you go. I hope they win. They were all wrongfully prosecuted and deserve money. For sure, dude. For sure.
In this, you have a ethical obligation under rules of professional responsibility and conduct to make sure that you're not bringing bad faith litigation.
By the way, they're also not winning their cases. We need to put that out there too. They're not winning these lawsuits. The government's just settling. The government's just giving them the money. None of these have like gone through the courts and the courts have determined that there was like a wrongful prosecution. Trump's just like, do it. And then they do it.
And saying, oh, well, I'm just representing what my clients are alleging. No, facts are facts, right? And the January 6th insurrection was an insurrection. It was a riot. It was not a peaceful protest.
Yeah,
not
DOD is just paying these settlements. Yeah, exactly. You notice none of those lawsuits have been won. You like that, Ramboni? Yeah, dude, that's where our taxpayer money needs to go. You're so full of shit. I'm starting to see through you, bud. I'm starting to think that you may not even be like, you might not believe anything that you're saying. All right. I'm going to skip 5 and 6. We can come back to that. But I want to get, I think that we should talk about Russ Vought, because I think that's a good segue here. He's tons of hearings today. Tomorrow's going to be mostly hearings. We're going to cover a bunch of videos. But Russ Vought, if you remember, the OMB director, is in front of Congress today as the president is asking for more money, including $1.5 trillion to go to the military, because we're not bombing enough people in the Middle East, so we need more of that. And it's not going well for Russ Vought today. This is Representative Balint. I think that's how you say it. And she's so fed. They're all so fed up with every one of these Trump administration folks that come with a binder full of comebacks that are always like, but Joe Biden. And I'll just let you see it.
$6 billion in clean energy grants based on whether the recipient lived in a blue state. Yes or no?
I don't recall what that judge said, but we have not made the determinations based on whether the state is...
In fact, Mr. Vought, on January 12th, 2026, U.S. Judge Amit Mehta said, quote, defendants, meaning you, Mr. Vought, freely admit that they made grant determination decisions primarily, if not exclusively, based on whether the awardee resided in a state whose citizens voted for President Trump in 2024.
You're going to see a pattern here, because in the year since Russ Vought took office, the Trump administration has been targeting blue states. And they, when these are getting challenged in court, they're losing. And the lawyers that are representing the Trump administration are not denying it. They're all saying, yeah, we're targeting blue states. We're allowed to do that, which they're not allowed to do. And so all of these rulings are being struck down. But now Russ Vought is in this weird spot where he has to come here and lie about it, because he works for Trump and lying is what you do. And there's dipshits that voted for Trump that expect him to lie. And so he's between a rock and a hard place where now he has to figure out how to either lie in front of Congress or play really fucking dumb. And he's bad at both of them. But they absolutely are targeting Americans based on who they voted for. And but again, the reason that they're doing this is because people prosecuted Donald Trump. And MAGA morons have just adopted his victimhood. It's your entire identity now. There's nothing you have nothing going on for yourself, so you're just like, what if I just acted like a bitch all the time, and like me and Donald Trump are victims together because he got sued. And by the way, lost every case. 100% of the cases that went to court, he lost. Every one. And so now we are taking it out on voters. And some of these people, like millions of people, are being affected by this who did vote for Trump. It's so stupid. They're breaking it down by state. So if Trump didn't win the state, they're not approving grants in these states. And the courts are slapping them around right and left. And the attorneys, because there's real consequences if you lie in front of a judge, the attorneys are forced to then make the argument that for some reason in this country, you are allowed to discriminate based on who somebody voted for.
Mr. Vought, yes or no? Federal judges said OMB's freeze of $10 billion in child care and family assistance funding, quote, appeared designed to punish communities that the administration agreed with. Yes or no? Was that something that federal judges said about you and your leadership?
I think the judge's characterization is getting at the degree to which we are focused on states that we think are mismanaged.
Okay, that is not in fact the case. In fact, U.S. District Judge Trina Thompson found the administration...
This goes so bad. Yeah, well, it's because they're more fraudulent. Well, that's not what the judge said.
Broke the law and froze funds as a politically motivated move disguised as fraud prevention. So your characterization actually is false. Other courts have said that withholding congressionally approved funding is, quote, vindictive and unlawful. Courts have found that freezing funds create, quote, irreparable harm against the American people. And the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, the watchdog agency that investigates how federal agencies spend taxpayer dollars, has reported that you broke the law multiple times. And they have said that you have refused to spend money that was dedicated for Americans. The Constitution gives Congress the power to spend money and not the president. Mr. Vought, your actions
Once again, I do think we need to do, like, as a country, we just need to gather the Republicans together and teach you about, like, the different branches of government and who controls what. If Congress appropriates funds, you are required to spend those funds. Russ Vought has this, he lives by something called unitary executive theory, which is something that the Heritage Foundation literally made up. And then they pretend that it can be that can be the law. And what they essentially say is, yes, Congress can fund whatever, but then we get to decide what to do with that money. Wrong. This is why Trump was impeached the first time. Some people forget that that was the impeachment process. Trump was within his rights to withhold money from Ukraine. Now, he wasn't allowed to do a quid pro quo, but even if you don't think he did a quid pro quo, he had 90 days to hold on to that money that was congressionally authorized before, and then he's forced to release it. And he held on longer than that. I don't remember how many days it was, but it was something like 190 days or something like that. So he was in direct violation of the law. And this is because he has people at the Heritage Foundation in his ear saying, let's just break the Constitution. You have to remember Russ Vought and the Project 2025 people and every single person in Trump's ear wants to end democracy. And they are on the fucking record. This isn't me, like, this isn't hyperbolic. This isn't me like saying, oh, they want to end democracy because they disagree with me. They say it. They don't think Congress really should exist. They don't like the representative government. They think that the president should be like a king. The exact opposite of what we set up. That the Congress is there. They're useful in some ways, but that the ultimate decision should be the president. So this is the fascism we were worried about. They're doing it in real time. You cocky little bitches. What are you doing?
Clearly show that you want to cut federal funds from anyone who didn't vote for Donald Trump. Are you trying to get revenge on states that did not vote for your boss?
No, of course not. What's interesting about the question is that Joe Biden withheld.
You guys are like, I've got a stream deck in front of me where I can play audio when I want to. Just immediately. What's interesting about that question about our administration is Joe Biden.
Oh, for goodness sakes, can we please bring it back to my question? It was a yes or no question. Are you trying to get revenge against blue states?
By the way, just real quick, what he said is Joe Biden withheld money for the wall. That doesn't target a state. That's not even remotely the same thing. Even your whataboutisms are getting dumber. That's federal land. That doesn't hurt a state. That's not money going to states. You're not picking and choosing who gets money based on who you voted for. I'm not even sure what he's referencing here with the wall. I remember the story coming up. I can't remember what it was. I remember there were like piles of like material laying out that everybody was upset about. I don't remember the exact story, but that's not even a good whataboutism. It's just in his binder. It's just something Stephen Miller wrote for him. Say this.
Because they did not support the president. Courts have said that, in fact, you did do that. That, in fact, you are being vindictive. In fact, you are punishing because of political persuasion.
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has ones. Yours just stink. Okay. I like mine, but opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and your dad loves things being shoved inside of it. Mine's better. Yeah, my TikTok is currently permabanned.
It's not members of Congress who suffer when you do an end run around Congress. That's not what I'm angry about. It's not about you taking the power away from us. It's that it's their money. It's their power. Of the people, by the people, and for the people. The House is closest to the people. So when you do an end run around Congress, you're taking Americans' power. I want to...
Yes. No. America first. Freedom, baby. Let Russ Vought run the whole country. TikTok is saying that this guy's anti-American sentiment is more damaging to their app than strippers promoting themselves. I don't think they said I was anti-American. I got banned on TikTok for making fun of MAGA. It was for bullying. Jen, who's the guy that is still complaining about being muted yesterday? whoever that is. I forget. Robert's very upset. He's been commenting on all my videos today. Very long messages. I think I might have got banned for bullying Robert. He's probably very happy about that. I'm sorry for bullying you guys. I'm very sorry about that. I didn't know I was hurting feelings, but that's what we got. That's what it was, right?
I don't know. I don't know what the ban. I couldn't see it. Like when I went to go check, it wouldn't let me log in, so I don't know why.
I think that's what it showed on my screen here.
Yeah, and no, I timed Robert out for 24 hours because he kept crying about. He was saying that he was timed out, but I went and looked. He hadn't been timed out at all, so I timed him out because he was getting on my nerves.
All right, yeah, there we go. All right, let's keep going with the Russ Vought. Here's Representative McGarvey. And again, just a bad day for Russ Vought. I'm seeing a lot of people I didn't know. I have no idea who Representative McGarvey is. Where is he from? Kentucky. Shout out Kentucky 3. Good job, Kentucky 3. Well done. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. So we have a gift goal that we need to knock out every single day in order to keep the lights on here. If you can help us with that, that would be greatly appreciated. We do Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal, as well as Super Chats. Don said, did you hear about Keg's Breath reciting the fake Bible verse from Pulp Fiction during a Pentagon prayer service? I did. I saw a fact check on it where he says that he knew that it was fake, but who knows? Maybe we'll get to that.
I've said for a long time that the budget is our ultimate policy document. You can talk about what you value, but the budget is literally when you put your money where your mouth is. And I'm shocked by Trump's budget proposal.
Hey, Howdy says we can't fucking stand Robert.
By its sheer cruelty, by its fiscal irresponsibility. And you can do the magic math, but the actual math is that there's...
Make it a fucking shirt. Make it a fucking shirt. This is what's so cool about being a Republican politician. The people that vote for you, the people that you're speaking to, they have no use for actual math. They have no idea what a budget looks like. They don't understand deficits. They don't understand debt. They don't understand interest. They don't understand any of this. So you don't have to use real math. And he's going to break down some real math here. But would you be surprised to know that the MAGA budget that is being proposed here will add more to the deficit than any budget in history, more to the debt than any budget in history? And what they say is, I know the math doesn't work out, but this is going to be so amazing that literally their argument is magically we will make more money. And MAGA's like, yep, that's correct. That is absolutely correct. If we spend more than we take in, then all of us will make more money, and then we'll have more to send in. Everybody who has analyzed any of these budgets, the CBO, the Yale Budget Lab, everybody says this is going to add like $3 to $5 trillion to the debt in 1 year. 1 year, $3 to $5 trillion. The biggest, I believe, our biggest expense is. It's getting close to our biggest expense every year being interest on our debt.
$0.5 trillion in revenue cuts, the money we take in, but only $1.1 trillion in spending cuts. That gives you $3.4 trillion right off the bat and an increase to the debt and deficit of this country. But if you... That's
just math. You bring in $1.5 trillion, but you spend whatever it was, like 4 point whatever trillion. That's a deficit immediately. How are you going to make that up? The budget, by the way, includes cuts. So before you talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, MAGA, this is the budget. They're not expecting to cut trillions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. This includes their cuts to waste, fraud, and abuse. So the cuts that they've made in waste, fraud, and abuse are going to leave us with $3.5-ish trillion in additional debt. And what are you getting for it? Fuck all. Getting literally fuck all. But at least if you have kids or grandkids, they're fucked. That's pretty cool.
Add in the increased debt servicing that is estimated by the Congressional Budget Office to go up to $4.7 trillion in debt. But take away the cruelty and the irresponsibility. I think right now what I'm so offended by is the indifference to how American families...
Fed needs lower interest rates then? Well, that's the problem. So when you're talking about the Fed lowering interest rate, and that would probably affect the rates that we're charging, but it's not direct. but it would probably affect the rates that we pay out when we're selling our debt. The problem that you have here, retirement, is that nobody wants to buy our debt at low rates. The interest on our debt isn't just like the Federal Reserve decides here's the interest we're going to pay on our debt. The interest on our debt comes from treasury bonds. And so when somebody buys a year, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, or 30-year treasury bond, whatever the interest rate is when they purchase that, generally, is what's being paid out. And we would like to pay 1% interest, 0.5% interest on that. And if our treasury bonds were so secure and such good investments, we could charge lower interest rates. The reason we're paying more on treasury bonds is because less people are buying them. So we have to incentivize the billionaires in this country and then investors from other countries to buy our debt. And because it's not looked at as a secure investment, because the United States has lost its standing, our credit rating has dropped, and nobody trusts Donald Trump or this administration, we actually have to pay them more to convince them to buy our debt. What do you think this is going to do for people looking to buy our debt when they're like, oh, you're going to add another 3.4 trillion? So you're going to be able to pay your bills even less. And then you look at Donald Trump. You don't think they're nervous about Donald Trump just saying, fucking cancel the repayment of those treasury bonds. Nobody trusts us. No, all these things Trump talks about, lowering the rate at the Fed, doesn't fix this problem.
Families are struggling right now in Donald Trump's economy. Just yesterday, your Department of Labor released its monthly price tracking report. Energy prices, according to your numbers, are up nearly 11% last month. Gas went up over.
Remember yesterday when JD Vance said energy prices were down? Now the government their own numbers are saying just last month up 11%. Electric Dad said, try and get a home loan with that kind of math. The Fed should have to work on a balanced budget. That'd be cool. Hey, howdy. I got that one already.
Over 21%. Home energy went up over 30%. We've talked about some of these cuts. Right now,
30% is what our energy prices went up. JD Vance looked you dead in the eye yesterday and said energy prices have come down.
Now, against this backdrop, there are 6 million Americans, including 150,000 Kentuckians, who rely on the low-income home energy assistance program to heat and cool their homes during the hottest and coldest months of the year. You admitted earlier to zeroing out that program, but you said it was because of fraud. Right? Do you believe that the 150,000 Kentuckians, the seniors who rely on this program to heat their homes in the winter, are all committing fraud?
I believe that there have been numerous government studies and nonprofit studies.
Again,
he zeroed it out. People who can't afford their energy bills will get $0. It's a fair question. So are you saying that everybody getting this help is committing fraud? Of course, he's not saying that. He can't even say it. There's been numerous studies that show that there's fraud. When we talked about this yesterday, I didn't even know that. But these energy repayments go directly to the energy companies. So where's the fraud here? It's not like people are taking that money, pocketing it, going out and buying BMWs. They're having their homes heated and cooled, and it goes directly to the energy companies. And we're just not going to help with that anymore. No, we got to bomb some more people in the Middle East. Fuck the poor people here.
They've said this is a fraudulent.
I'm going to reclaim my time here because what you told me is you said just a second ago, I don't assume the American people engage in tax fraud, but I guess you assume every senior in Kentucky is engaging fraud because they want to have a cool home in the summer and a warm home in the winter. But it's not just energy prices that are up. Everything at the grocery store is more expensive. Come to the Kroger on Bardstown Road with me in Louisville, Kentucky. You'll see it for yourself. And the Iran war is only going to make that worse because of the shocks to fertilizer and fuel costs. A lot of our neighbors, they rely on a little bit of extra help, especially when they can't afford their groceries. Look at the wildly successful nutrition program for women, infants, and children, known as WIC. It helps pregnant, breastfeeding, and postpartum women feed themselves and their kids when they need
it. Fuck them kids.
Most. After Republicans enacted the deepest cuts in our country's history to food benefits, and more families are struggling right now due to the president's policy, your budget cuts breastfeeding moms' fruit and vegetable benefit from $54 to $13 a month. Is that correct?
We fully fund the WIC program.
No, you don't. Here it is right here on page 160.
You cut it from $54 to $13. Is that correct? We fully fund it. Huh? Did you for food and fruit and vegetables? 54 to 13 at a time when all the costs are going up. They could give a fuck. This is an evil human being right here. This is pure, unadulterated evil. Ripping food out of children's mouths so that we can fund more wars. Respectfully, MAGA, if you're here and you're defending this, get fucked. If it was reversed, if this was the Biden administration, you would be flipping the fuck out right now. I can't believe that we can't get you to have agreement on this. You guys were America first a year ago. Where are you now? Israel first? Who was it was saying that earlier? I think it was Casey. Venezuela first, oil companies first, billionaires first, everybody but us first.
64 in the second column of your budget. I'm talking right now. If you want to talk, you can run for Congress. On page 165 in the first column, it cuts it from $54 to $13 a month. And it looks like you're not stopping there. You're coming for the roof over people's heads too. Look at HUD's continuum of care program. It keeps 950 Kentuckians in stable long-term housing. That includes 886 people with disabilities. It includes 383 survivors of domestic violence. More than half of those housed in Kentucky right now are families with kids. This budget zeroes out that program, doesn't it?
You know what's interesting about
Yes,
your
it does.
comment
I'll
about-
answer.
when
No,
you have
I
the
reclaim
long-
You
my
little
time.
bit. He's such a squirmy little bitch. Answer the fucking question. Do you zero it out? Yeah, you do zero it out.
You know what's interesting about that question is, why didn't you ask Joe Biden about this?
You guys, are you sick of this shit yet? You guys sick of everybody who represents you being just a complete and total bitch? I'd be frustrated if I were you. I'd watch this. I'd be like, God damn, man, we all look like bitches.
Reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman. Right now, it does. It's right here on table 1.3. It zeroes it out in your budget. I could go on and listing the moral crimes in this budget, but I only have 5 minutes. This budget cuts the SBA program for minority and women-owned business. It cuts programs for
Small Business Administration. Little hand up for small businesses. Like, yeah, let's cut that. Why'd we cut that? Oh, because we had to give tax cuts to billionaires. Sweet.
health and safety programs for coal miners. It cuts funding for daycare for working parents. Across the board, it slashes the parts of government that help working people and replaces them with more war and more ICE abuses. Even with all of these cuts, just like your budget did last year, when it cuts $1 trillion from healthcare to pay for tax cuts for the rich, it still manages to blow up the debt and the deficit by trillions. But the budget isn't just a policy document, it's a moral document. Like you, Director Vought, I'm a Christian. I won't question your faith. I won't question the president's faith, despite what he did depicting himself as Jesus and his attacks on the Pope.
No, it was a doctored image, which is why he was portraying himself as a doctor.
I grew up in a family where we read Matthew 25. A couple of Sundays ago, on March 22nd, my twins were confirmed in our Presbyterian church, and they chose to be baptized. We're a Matthew 25 church. Matthew 25:31, the parable of the sheep and the goats. It says, when I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was without clothes, you clothed me. When I was a stranger, you welcomed me. When I was in prison, you visited me. And of course, it ends with, for the least of these, you did for me as well. This budget sees the hungry, it sees the homeless, it sees the vulnerable, and it turns away. That is not what we should be doing, and it's why I cannot support it. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
The pathetic budget. I thought Christ was a carpenter. Well, carpenters like heal homes. Why you guys? Why the demonization of poor people? Why? I appreciate it. USA voted for us. Yeah, true. You guys did vote for this. Why? I want to know why. Why did you vote for this? What's the point here? What are we getting out of this? I will never understand you folks. I am left to believe, because I believe in humanity and I believe that people can change, and I get shit for this, but like I legitimately believe that people are inherently good. I also believe that people are inherently unflinching in their beliefs and slow to apologize or to change. Change is hard. It's a motherfucker. I've went through about 7, 8 years of really, really hard change, deconstructing from being a conservative. And I could just tell you, like, for me, what's been hard to accept is the way that I was dismissive of so many people. I don't know if they're here, but there was somebody when I first kind of started this. There was somebody that went to my high school. I didn't know them well. They were 2 or 3 years younger than me. I think 2 grades younger than me. And they reached out to me after about a year and said, "I've been watching your show for a while," and they appreciated coming from where I was, the way that I spoke about trans people. This was just a trans person. So I knew them differently than how they are now. And the comment has been, the comment consistently from a few people that knew me when I was younger have been, it's been like one of surprise. And it's a sad, like it's sad, some of the messages I get. I had a good friend message me the other day because you guys know I don't share my personal life very much, but like with my Instagram, there's a small amount of people that are close friends that I will share my personal life with. They'll use like the whatever the green stories, whatever those are called, like close friends or whatever. And so sometimes people will see my daughter, and sometimes if it is me posting about my personal life, it's almost exclusively my daughter. And if you know me personally, you know how much I care about my daughter, and being a girl dad is really important to me. And admittedly, some of that is just looking back on my life and the way that I was raised and the cult that I was raised in, and being raised as a Republican, and realizing the way that we spoke about women, the way that we thought about women, the way that we viewed women, in a way that at the time I was shockingly unaware of how damaging that was. Shockingly unaware. And so it's been interesting, some of these messages that I get that's like, what happened? There must have been, like, you must have had a good dad who taught you these things. And my dad is a good person. He's not the person who would have taught me how to treat women. I didn't learn that from my dad. I didn't learn that from any of the people I looked up to. I didn't learn that from my religious leaders. I don't believe Christianity teaches you to treat women equally. I think that there are some Christians who have evolved, and it's, take, for example, you kind of have to throw out the Old Testament and say, you have to be one of those Christians that basically says the Old Testament was the old law, the New Testament is the new law, the old ways are not the new ways, and then you can't use the Old Testament as justification. But for the life of me, I cannot figure out your cruelty. I cannot figure out why the fuck you hate so many groups of people. And you can point at me and say, like, I'm hateful and I'm hateful towards MAGA. That's true. It's absolutely true. Not because you're MAGA. Not because your hats fucking suck. Not because I have some personal beef with Donald Trump. I hate your cruelty. I hate it. I don't understand your obsession with punching down. How come everybody you worship is powerful and everybody you hate has no voice? What are you is it fear? I can't. I'm struggling to grapple with this. I struggle to grapple with, like, the acceptance of this. What is it about you that makes you hate immigrants? Don't tell me it's crime. Don't fucking tell me it's crime, because it's not. They commit crimes at a lower rate. And then don't tell me, oh, if you come here illegally, it's a crime. Don't tell me that shit either. Because every single day I could walk outside and I could watch somebody speed down the street and I'm not going to think twice about it. It's not going to consume me. I can watch somebody run a red light. Every day I can open a newspaper and see that somebody committed a crime. Don't tell me that it's about the crime or law and order. You know goddamn well it isn't. Tell me figure out what it is. We'd love to hear it. How come every group of people that you blame our problems on just so happen to be fucking marginalized? It's poor people. It's immigrants. Black and brown people. It's women. It's people that have historically been marginalized because of their sexual preferences. People who are marginalized because they believe they're Muslim rather than Christian. I'm trying to look here. Like, can you tell me something? Can you tell me a powerful group that Republicans actively oppose? You can't say Democrats, right? That's just the other side. Is there some sort of powerful group you actively oppose? Thank you, Larry, for the super chat. Appreciate that. I'm just looking through the chat here because I'd love to hear it. I don't understand. Where's our normal folks here? Where's Ramboni? Where's As powerful people have climbed and accomplished being things, bottom feeders, not listened to. No. You see, you still can't answer my question. You're calling poor people bottom feeders, brother. Bottom feeders? Is it insecurity for you, Mr. Miller? You think that one day you can be like them? If you praise them enough and emulate them enough that one day you'll be like them? Just explain it. How come all of our problems you blame on poor people? Marginalized people. You know, the biggest recipients or the biggest committers of fraud in this country are rich people. We lose far more money on rich people not paying their taxes than we do on all of these social programs combined. Nothing. Can you point to a different country who demonizes marginalized people where that's went well? Can you give me a time in history where going after marginalized people, removing them, taking them out of society when that worked out well? I'm trying not to just like say you're a bitch all day. I'm really trying. But it honestly breaks my heart a little bit. I'm tired of people being so cruel. And it makes the world a really fucking confusing place for a lot of people. Makes it hard for people to distinguish between somebody who is well-intentioned and not, because so much now of what we dismiss to get along with each other. Like I live around Republicans. So much of what you have to dismiss is legitimate, like hatred and bigotry. And we now chalk that up as, oh, it's just politics. Remember that interview we showed the other day with Clavicular, and they're like, "What's like Andrew Tate is a sex pest. Like he's credibly accused of sexually assaulting multiple people, but you spend time with him. How do you square that?" Well, I'm not getting political. You guys now just admit that sexual assault is political. Every time we talk about sexual assault on this live, there's 10 Republicans in here like, "Don't believe women. Women are terrible." The cruelty is exhausting. I almost can't. I'm almost to the point where like I can't even be super upset about it anymore. Because me being upset about it makes me feel like, oh, I can change this. Like I'm so mad, I'm going to make a change. But what else do we have to do? What do we have to try? In this country right now, we're arguing about a budget, and in our budget, the Republicans have said the biggest increase we need is to murder people. We need $1.5 trillion so that we can murder people in the Middle East. And how are we going to pay for that? Well, we're not, but we'll offset some of that by stealing food out of the mouths of poor children in the United States. And the way they get away with that is from you, where they've convinced you that poor people are, someone said earlier, like bottom feeders. What sick fucks you are? When have the poor people ever been the problem? Give me an example in history when the population of a country, the poor population of the country was the problem. Is it only the United States? It just so happens to be that every single time, in every single instance, in every single country, when they've committed a genocide, or when they've mistreated poor people. It just so happens that every fucking time the people mistreating the poor people and demonizing them turned out to be the bad guys. But this one fucking time, you guys are right. Could you point to another example, please? You find yourself aligning with the worst of the worst. You motherfuckers are aligned with Benjamin Netanyahu, a genocidal, murderous dictator. And despite not being there, despite living over here, you're like, oh yeah, all of those people just deserve to die because they have a different religion than we do. There is no scenario in history where if we take the timeline out and we just explain what your viewpoints are and the action that you have taken against groups of people, there is no time in history when anybody would look at that and go, that's not evil. That's the right thing to do. It is remarkable how easy it is for you to be cruel and evil. And it sucks. Didn't you guys align with Khomeini and the IRGC? No. That's what you sick fucks have to tell yourselves to justify murder. We said, don't murder people. And you go, oh, so you must love them. No, it's what you have to say to justify what you're doing. You always do this. You create a false moral equivalency so that you don't have to address the sick fuckery inside of your own hearts and inside of your own minds. You just get to move on with your lives and be like, oh, everybody does. That's just a fact of life that we have to advocate murdering people. Go back through my records. Go search it. Use AI. Figure it out. Find one time I've advocated for murdering people. Find one fucking time. All you ever want to do is murder people and throw them in jail. You're goddamn right I'm mad. You're goddamn fucking right I'm mad. The world doesn't have to be like this. There's no fucking reason that we should be murdering each other. Especially based on like which God we believe in or don't believe in. All right, Jackie, tell me the bad elements of the left then. Let's talk about it. You don't think I will I criticize people on the left all the time for supporting the same shit you're supporting. I criticize Joe Biden for his support of Israel because I don't like genocide. Yeah, pearl clutching. See, that's what, yeah, for sure. Keep justify it. I'm going to call, this is pearl clutching to say that he doesn't like murder. Yeah, keep doing it. The communist wing. Okay, what do you want me to say about the communist wing? What have the communists done in the communist wing of the left here? What have they done that I'm supposed to be so upset about? Seems like you just maybe hate the word communist. Could you give me an example of what the communist left wing has done here? I'm not a communist. I don't like communism. It's because nobody likes murder? No, you guys love murder. It's like your favorite thing. Alexander says, thanks for being one of the few with the courage to speak up. I don't think I'm one of the few. I think a lot of people are sick of this shit. Conservatives are absolute submissive cowards. True. Sky Fox says, I used to firmly believe that the majority of people were good. Past decade is really shaking that belief, and it makes me sad every day. Yeah, they've just closed their eyes. But Jackie, did you have an example there of what I'm supposed to be upset about that the communists did? I don't even know who the fuck the communists are. Aren't you pro-abortion? I don't think anybody's pro-abortion, but I think that I support, I think mothers should be in charge of those decisions. I don't believe that mothers just go kill their babies. Sorry. Did you have anything, Jackie? Do I need to move on? Or do you just want me to say like communist bad? I'm like, you guys support murder and genocide. Well, why won't you say communism bad? Tell me what they did. I was happy to condemn the murders from Hamas on October 7th. You want me to talk? You're talking about Turtle Island, Jackie? Yeah, don't bomb buildings. I'm not in favor of bombing buildings. That's what you want me to talk about Turtle Island right now? Yeah, I'm against that. Now, are you against murdering Jackie? Do you agree with murdering school kids at school. Do you think we should bomb schools, Jackie? Stalin, Mao. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Stalin, evil. Mao, evil. Easy. They didn't. It's easy. I'm not a communist. I don't know what. It's crazy, but I know like there's communists here, and they don't advocate for murder. You guys, it's crazy that you guys don't know anything about this. Like every time we talk about communism, you all say the same thing. Mao, Stalin, yeah, evil. Both of them were evil. Anybody else? No? All right, we'll move on. Let's get back to Russ Vought. These evil fucks at the Heritage Foundation. Here's Senator Merkley now. And he struck a chord here. The thing is that these guys like at the Heritage Foundation and all of these people in the administration, it's such a fucking echo chamber, and it is all just ideas. It's all like vibes for them that they get really triggered when you ask them direct questions. It's almost insulting to them that you would question their ideology, and that's what Russ Vought's going through today.
Noted that you did not include deficit numbers in your budget, even though those are required by law. Why not?
It's a discretionary budget. One of the things that I believe is important is to...
Real quick, got that part. You have to put in the deficits. Russ Vought is required to put in the deficits of what the deficits will be here based on his budget. Now he can lie about it, I guess, if he wants and look silly. They just left it out. The Trump administration said, we're not going to tell you about how much this is going to cost us and how much we're going to go into deficit here. They're legally required to do it, just didn't do it. That's how little respect they have for you, for me, and for the Constitution, and for the future of this country.
It's a discretionary budget. One of the things that I believe is important is to not confuse the country when we're in the middle of several reconciliation efforts over the next...
Confuse them by telling them that you're going to add $3.5 trillion to the debt? It's not confusing. You're lying.
Year. This is making sure you can start the appropriations process. We did a mid-session review in which we will comply with the law at the mid-session point about how we are doing.
We'll comply with the law later, just not this time.
It's also, one of the things when you do
I'll take that answer. Thank you.
When you take the full budget.
I disagree with the notion that it's discretionary to follow the law. The law did require deficit numbers. They can be extracted if one sits down and does the numbers from your revenue and spending projections.
Sorry, Monique said, Jay's preaching the good word today, not quite as good as the Pulp Fiction prayer. Appreciate this entire team's hard work to help us think more critically every day. Thank you, Monique, for $75 there. That was a very generous. Gramingo said, it is fear, Jay. It's an absolute amygdala response to change. Also, they don't teach love of God. They teach fear of God. If this that makes perfect sense. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that is true. There are two types of Christians, the ones that love God and the ones that fear God. And fear never leads to good outcomes.
And that includes a deficit of about $2.2 trillion.
Communism kills people in the same way that guns kill people. Facts, yeah. I just want to point out one more time, I know this isn't going to get into any of your heads, but Mao and Stalin were communists in the same way that Trump is a Christian. They weren't. They weren't practicing communism. They claimed that they were communist, and then they weren't communist. There's no real argument there, right? They were a government. There's no government. The communists don't have government. They weren't communists. They claimed to be communists. So if you want to say like governments who claim to be communist tend to wind up doing awful things to their people, I would probably agree with that. But they weren't practicing communism. Otherwise, there would be no government.
In 2027, I think...
Robert, shut the fuck up, man. I'm so fucking tired of you whining. Like, you're a grown fucking man, dude. Sorry. Stop whining, dude. You come in here and you whine for 5 hours a day. Nobody gives a fuck if you leave and never come back. We're not going to beg you. Stop it, buddy. You wrote like 20 comments on my videos yesterday. They were paragraphs. Let it go. You're good, bud. I would recommend getting off the internet. Go touch grass. I'm sorry that this is boring for you. Go learn something, touch grass. Get a life, bud. Nobody's going to beg you to stay.
Perhaps the reason you didn't want to include deficit numbers is you didn't want to draw attention to we are in a situation where we are not in a major recession. And you're not including in this the cost of the war, so that's not a factor. And yet we're
good. Yeah, let's just not put the war in there.
We're continuing to drive this nation deeper and deeper into debt. The projections show that in 20 years, with this 6% structural deficit, we will be in the position of basically being able to fund only Medicaid, Medicare, defense, and interest payments, which means no investments in healthcare, housing, and education. And those investments are diminished in your budget. So,
what is America First? What the fuck is in this budget that's America First? This is so much worse than the Trump 1.0. This feels like they just want to fuck up the country. This isn't ideological grounds anymore. Like the first Trump administration, they're like, here's where we're going to spend money. And I disagreed where they're going to spend money. And they're like, here's where we're going to cut. And I disagreed. This feels like they're purposefully fucking things up. This feels like they want a whole lot of people to have absolutely nothing and a handful of people to have everything. Can somebody, while this is playing, can you point to me something in this budget that you like? Brandon says, I'll say it again. Fuck this vote guy.
Am I accurate in saying, extracting from the numbers you do have in there, that the deficit is going to be about $2.2 trillion for 2027 as projected in your budget?
Again, this budget has not intended to tell you where we would be from the deficit, but I do appreciate the concern on debt and deficits. I do appreciate the concern. When we came into office, we were staring into face $32 trillion in deficits. We have already gotten,
and now it's $39 trillion. That's not a good argument.
That down to $18 trillion.
I'll let you.
We were making.
Excuse me, what? Oh, what is this claim here?
Going to be about $2.2 trillion for 2027 as projected in your budget?
Again, this budget has not intended to tell you where we would be from the deficit, but I do appreciate the concern on debt and deficits. I do appreciate the concern. When we came into office, we were staring into face $32 trillion in deficits. We have already gotten that down to $18 trillion.
I'll let you.
We were making.
What is he talking about? I have no idea what he's saying there. Does anybody know? This budget is the largest deficit budget ever. This must be their magic math. I have no idea what he's talking about. Honestly, I have no idea. It reduced the budget, but the deficit went up. He's talking about deficits here, right? Is he just saying budget? Let's see.
When we came into office, we were staring into face $32 trillion in deficits. We have already gotten that down to $18 trillion.
I'll let you.
We were making progress.
I have no idea. $3.5 trillion in deficit spending this year. What did they do? Instead of projecting out like 20 years, they're projecting out 8 now. Is that what they did? This math doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what he's saying here. I don't think anybody else knows what he's saying either. O'Block said to help Robert touch some grass fund. Go get him, Robert. I hope you find happiness.
Each and every year.
On your own time. Thank you. Actually, the situation is you added $30 trillion last year to the debt over the next 30 years, or $50 trillion if the interest rates are 1% higher than CBO projected. So rather than reducing deficits and debt, you are increasing them. And this is on top of $8 trillion in hugely strategically misshaped wars in Afghanistan.
Are you asking about this guy? That's an NPC behind him? Maybe. Bro, change your face for like a second.
And Iraq, $8 trillion that was not invested in American families. And this budget continues the process of saying we don't care about American families.
All right. Yeah, we can't, Republicans, let's get on the same page for a minute, can we? Can we do this? Can we just just demand that everybody in Congress approve budgets that actually help us? And if they can't explain how it helps us, we just don't do it. All right, that was Merkley, and then this was Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine was amazing. I love Tim Kaine so much. Now, just asking about the fact that we're still saying the Department of War. It's still the Department of Defense. It is not the Department of War. And the cuckery of this administration to be just forced language. It's ironic that the thing that kind of won Trump the election in some places was pronouns and forced speech. And now it's consistently forced speech from this administration. You're not allowed to say that Joe Biden won an election that Joe Biden won. You're not allowed to say Department of Defense, even though it's the Department of Defense. And Tim Kaine makes Vote look silly here.
I've heard you go back and forth between talking about the investment in the Department of Defense or the Department of War. Now, just for everybody here, legally, the name of this department is...
Yeah, Scott, fuck Nancy Pelosi, okay? We get, yes, Nancy Pelosi, also shitty. Fuck Nancy Pelosi. Can you, now let's talk about this. Scott, remember right now when they just, now you have to answer my question. Remember right now when this administration said that they were going to add $3.5 trillion in debt, but then they didn't want to tell you that, so they hid it from you? Now your turn. Your turn to say fuck this administration. Anybody here love Nancy Pelosi? Hand in the air if you love Nancy Pelosi. Thumbs up if you love Nancy Pelosi. Thumbs down if you don't love Nancy Pelosi. Watch this, Scott. Nobody gives a fuck about Nancy Pelosi. But your turn. Your turn to address this.
the Department of Defense, correct?
It's the Department of War.
And why do you say that?
Because that's what the president and his team has.
Because that's what Daddy told us to do. Daddy wrote it down on a paper and he signed it with a big Sharpie marker, and now we call it the Department of War. It's the Department of Defense, but we call it the Department of War because Dad said so.
Renamed it.
And there's a statute that calls it the Department of Defense. The president did an executive order saying the Department of War was a
She's a liberal. Take care of her. I'm not a liberal. I'm a progressive.
Secondary title in September of 2025. Have you been instructed to use the phrase the Department of War?
No, there's an executive order that goes through a
You're
legal
just
process.
voluntarily complying with this whimsical cosplay. Let me ask you this.
Word?
You're just, oh, that's got to be somebody. Can somebody please clip this so I can add it to my soundboard? I love this so much.
Phrase the Department of War?
No, there's an executive order that goes through a
You're
legal
just
process.
voluntarily complying with this whimsical cosplay. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
The name?
Are you aware of legislation that's been passed by Congress to change the name?
No, I'm just curious as to the extent to which I didn't realize this would be a debate, Senator.
Well, I'm not debating you.
I'm a liberal if I'm talking bad about communism. Oh, okay.
It's a hostile world out there.
Are you aware?
The president did an executive order.
Are you aware of any bill to change the legal name of the department?
Not to my knowledge, but it's probably something we would consider.
Well, I'm saying there's an NDA process right now. Folks want to change it. I would look forward to that debate because I think you'll get laughed out of the room and you'll become a punchline on TV. Nations.
That's how today's going for him anyways.
All around the world have secretaries and ministers of defense. Do you know of any that has a secretary and minister of war?
Our founders thought it was a pretty good name when
after World War II.
Let's do this. Let's fucking do it. Minaninko.
Being that Iran can no longer sell oil to China and the United States has a potential of 31.5 billion annual sales yearly, we're going to get our deficit back in a year. Just saying, stop fear-mongering. They don't pay any fucking taxes. They don't pay taxes, you dumb fuck. You're not getting a dime. We're not getting a dime. They're going to make a lot of money. By the way, Iran can still sell oil to China. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is how easy it is to get for Republicans to get you to vote. They don't pay taxes, brother. They don't pay shit. Trump cut their taxes. That's why they gave him $1 billion. We don't own our oil. We're not Venezuela. We're not Iran. That money doesn't go into the government coffers. It goes into the hands of billionaires, you dumb motherfuckers. Jesus fucking Christ. Watch what we're doing. Look at what we're looking at right now. They're cutting the taxes of all the rich people and then making sure that all the rich people get more money. And it isn't going to the government, which is why we have a $3.5 trillion deficit. Jesus Christ, do you understand anything at all? Oh, we're going to sell more oil. Cool. What if Apple sells 10 million more phones? Is that going to benefit you? Nope. Stop celebrating shit that doesn't help you just so that you can keep sucking this guy's dick. You can suck it for free. You don't also have to look like a moron. Just suck it. It's fine. But don't take your mouth off it to be like, oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, back on it. Jeez.
President Truman changed it back. Are you aware of any nation in the world that calls this function war rather than defense?
I did not realize that this was a source of
I will tell you that there's no other nation. Do you know in the oath that our military officers take is the word war mentioned?
I'm not aware.
Defense is mentioned, war is not
Thanks, Midwest. Happy Thursday to you, too. I read your comments earlier. You might have missed them because I missed them from yesterday.
mentioned. Finally, you've sacked 350,000.
No, 3.5 trillion, Tutty, is the amount that the deficit this year that they're proposing. This is what Russ Vought is there to give them the budget request for this year, which would add another $3.5 trillion. But yeah, we'll for sure make that up in tax revenue from oil, for sure.
People, do you know what percentage are veterans?
Senator, we have ensured that all of the veteran preferences are stuck to.
30% of the federal workforce is veterans. So when you fire 350,000 people, I think you have fired more veterans than any administration in the history of the United States. I yield back.
Yeah, thank you, Russ Vought. I don't know. We got a communism debate here. Let me just be very frank on my position on communism. It will fail. Communism cannot work on a mass scale, the same way that libertarianism cannot work on a mass scale. Why? Because it opens up, it's too corruptible. It opens up to might wins. Whoever is the strongest wins. You have to have government. I don't think any of these things work on a large scale. You could not practice communism in the United States, not because it's impossible, like not because the principles don't work, but because eventually somebody's going to get an army and they're going to take over and there is no government to protect you. And there is no once you eliminate the currency, which communism requires, then what is it? What's left? It's too corruptible. I like the ideas of being a libertarian. I like the ideas of being communist. I don't see a great difference between libertarians and communists, if we're being honest. I don't think the biggest difference is like the belief in property rights, like collective property versus personal property. But at the end of the day, the same arguments I would make for a libertarian, I would make against communists too. What happens? What happens when somebody shows up and you all live in a village and you collectively own that, but there's 100 of them and there's 20 of you and they say, this is our village now. What are you going to do? What if they have guns? What if they have weapons? What if there's just more of them? What are you going to do? Evil will always exist. You can't, like, in a perfect world, libertarianism and communism works. But if you can even look at like small examples in the United States of times when like those types of principles, I'm not saying libertarianism specifically or communism specifically, but people that lived that kind of lifestyle without any like real government structure. I mean, look what happened to the indigenous people when us whites showed up here. There was no like broad protection, right? They were able to be divided and conquered. Utah, where I live right now, I live in Mesa, Arizona. This was by all definitions, they were essentially practicing communism here. They all had communal property. They had a bishop's storehouse. Everybody that grew food or raised animals, they all gave that to the bishop's storehouse, and then it was redistributed. And eventually, they were overtaken. In this case, by the government, the U.S. government kind of came in. Same with Utah. It's not the principles that I have a problem with. I understand the principles of communism. I think that both communism and libertarianism, depending on where you fall on property rights, I think that those are both I think they're admirable. And I think what I like about communists is that oftentimes they view the world as like this is how the world should operate. I think that to use like the island metaphor, if 100 of us landed on an island, I think we would be more likely to practice communism or libertarianism in some way than what we're doing now. But as the community grows, as it gets larger, you find a need for government.
You find a need, a way to like settle disputes. People eventually want to become individuals. I grew up in a cult, and one of the things that I do know for certain, I'm 40. If you look at the people that I grew up with, that I went to high school with, a ton of the women, the girls, I guess, when I went to high school, that I went to high school with, got married very, very young. And they conformed. They were told, like, get married young, have lots of children. And it is a very common thing for people from my community, specifically women that got married young, to hit their 30s, mid-30s, almost 40, and have this existential crisis of, I missed everything. I never got to live. I was never an individual. I was just stuck in this system. And I think that human beings crave individuality. And I think I do specifically. Like, I want to live my life very intentionally. I want to live my my life free of what I feel like is, and a lot of this raised in a cult. Like, that kind of stuff seems oppressive to me. And then you don't have an option. When people start feeling oppressed, what do you do? What do you do when you have a community of 1,000 people living under communism, right? You've all agreed to live under communism, and now you've got 200 of them. They're like, I don't like this. I want my own personal property. I want currency. I want freedom. I want to try something different. Well, you can. How do you get them to keep living within the rules? How do you get them from changing the rules? How do you get them from changing the principles that you all live by? How do you do that without a government? You can't. You're not able to like settle those types of disputes. And I know we'd all like to say like, oh, we can all settle it like human beings, but I've never heard a good argument for how communism or libertarianism works on a large scale. If you want to have that conversation with me, I would love to have it with you. I'm open to that. I don't think that has to be a contentious conversation. It's not something that I've studied extensively, but I've spoken to communists. I have some friends that are communists. I love Sean. I don't know if Sean's here. Love Sean. I know Sean's a communist. I think Sean, if she's hearing this, would be like, fuck you, Jay. And maybe I have a DM from Sean saying like, fuck you, dude. And maybe some of I know I have communists in our Discord, and some of you might be saying, fuck you. I'd love to have the conversation. And if you have an explanation for that, that's fine. But like, that is my critique. It's my critique on everything. It's my critique on capitalism. It's my critique on socialism. It's my critique on communism. The world is complicated. People are complicated. People have very different views. I think what we should be looking towards more than anything is how you can take everybody's views and fit them into one group and allow people the individuality and the freedom that they need to operate in a way that feels authentic to them without being restricted based on their views. And that's my that's my problem with conservatism. Right? Like, I don't give a fuck if you go to church and you speak in tongues and you have like, you think the woman's place is in the house making babies. That's fine. You can have that belief. I just don't think you get to force that on other people. But when I say force that on other people, not like you existing, and this is my problem with conservatives. You think this, like a trans person exists and you're like, that's forcing it on me. No. They get to exist just like you get to exist. And you can say like, that's weird. I don't like that. I get to say that about like trad wives. I get to say that about the alpha bros. We can say that. We can say that it's weird. But I think ultimately the goal should always be, how do you take a large collective of views and create a society that allows everybody to operate in that as meaningful way as they possibly can. That's what America was. That's why I think for a lot of us it's frustrating to watch this, because that was kind of the idea. We had when it came to religion, like, first of all, it's absolute fucking nonsense to pretend that our founding fathers were like Christians. Some of them were. Even the ones that were, though, they were free thinking Christians. But there were also different ideas of like economic theory. And that was the whole point of America, is like, how do we form a society where all of us who are coming from different places and different points of view, who are tired of living under a king, how can we live collectively together and still allow this type of individualism? And that's how we were founded, and obviously flaws. But if you look at the American experiment, like, largely we've made progress. But every single time that progress has been made with progressive people standing up for marginalized people, recognizing that if not everybody has the same rights, then we're not free. Everybody has to have the same rights, regardless of how weird you think their ideas are. So when you find yourself as a conservative saying things like, oh, we can't have Muslims here because of Sharia law, it's anti-American. You find yourself saying like, oh, I can't have my kids going to school with a trans kid, it's anti-American. You get uncomfortable and then you retreat. And I just think that happens in every society. Even if we were a communist country, you would have conservatives. Conservatives will always exist. They will want things to stay the same. And I would argue that Mao and Stalin were conservatives. I would argue that they operated much like you would see Netanyahu, much like you would have seen Hitler. They operated in that exact same way. They said, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is our culture. Assimilate or die. That's conservatism. That's keeping things the same. That's structure. So in a weird way, if you looked at like just the way that all of these dictators operate, it's conservatism. Yes, he wanted to conserve, Tyler. I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? You're telling me that Stalin didn't want to conserve what he built? He didn't want to keep things the same? He didn't want like a unifying culture? He didn't target groups of people. Mao didn't target groups of people because of their opposition to his ideology. That's conserving. Don't mix up conservatism with like a political ideology. Conservatism is just keep things the same. It doesn't have to mean like, oh, that means I'm for small government. No. Small government means you're for small government. If you live in a country where the government is massive and it has always been massive, and you believe in small government, you're not a conservative. But by definition, in that country, you would be a progressive because you would like to progress to a different spot where, like, maybe you have more opportunity. Yes, conservatism is always the enemy. That's my opinion. Regardless of like, if we're talking governments, if you're talking about your personal life, in the way that I operate, conservatism is my enemy. I don't want to stop growing. I don't want to stop learning. I don't want to stop accepting new things. I hope till the end of my life, my views are evolving. And if you get to a point where your views aren't evolving and you just want to keep this cocoon that you're in, that by definition is conservative. My opinion sucks. Cool. Argue it. Like, just look at the word conserve. What does conserve mean? That's the root. Hold the definition. Tell me I'm wrong if we're just using the word. Protect something, especially an environmentally or culturally important place or thing, from harm or destruction. Right? You're protecting your values or your culture. What do you think the people were doing? Like, go back to like the 50s. There were these weird groups, like there were these moderate groups that you would consider conservative, right? There were people who were like, we should integrate schools. There were people who were like, we should never integrate schools. And then there were other people that were like, we should integrate schools, but we should do it slowly. Or I think everybody's equal, but they should be separate, right? I just think that if you live your life in a way where every day you wake up and with the idea that like I could be wrong, my mind could be changed, great. I think the world is a better place. Yeah, can you name me any great thing that conservative thinkers have ever done? Just one. You name one great thing a conservative thinker has done. Get a real job. No, this is why I don't get a real job. See, that's the other thing. Like, that's conservatism right there. Work under the boot like the rest of us. Don't sit up here and say things that I think are uncomfortable. Go work for somebody. Work for the man. Yeah. No, you know why I do this? Because I can. That's why I do this job. I fucking love this. I get to show up every day. I get to dictate what I talk about. And if I do a shitty job, nobody will give me any money. It's like the most direct way to tell, like, am I doing a good job or not? Most of you guys go to a job where you could just beat off in the bathroom all day and nobody would know. Like, you can kind of just fuck around. Every job I had, there was like an hour of real work every day, and I'd work for 8 hours. I hated that. I just felt like I was at a dead end. Like I don't care about money very much. Like I'm not driven by that. So if you paid me a lot more money to do a job I hated, I would just quit. I've done jobs that make a lot more money that I fucking hated. But that's just like that's who I became after I left my cult and deconstructed my own religion and my own beliefs. Is I became somebody who didn't want to live that way anymore. But I think that's the main difference between me and conservatives. How privileged? Thank you. Yeah, I do. It is a privilege. Look, I'm a white dude in America. Let's not pretend that me being able to be successful on the internet speaking doesn't have at least something to do with what I look like. So I think that's fair. All right. You've only worked dead-end jobs that require no education, which I'm betting you never graduated. Well, swing and a miss there, bud.
I've heard you go back and forth.
Swing and a miss there, bud. Well, let's see. Did any of my jobs actually require? Only one of my jobs ever required my degree. That is, I guess you might be right there, but none of them were dead-end jobs. I had great jobs. I worked. If you want to know, I worked running call centers. That's what I was good at. Is I was able to a lot of moving parts together with my ADHD brain. My job was basically to take companies and help build their culture, and companies with large amounts of turnover, people that had a hard time keeping people in their jobs. It was my job to go in and fix the culture and make it so that people didn't quit so much. That's what I was good at, and I really liked that. That was a good part. That was the parts of my job that I liked. Let me read some comments. I think I missed some. Jamar said, I work from home, so I don't have to go to the bathroom to beat off while I work. Thank you. Nightcrawler, thank you so much for the gifted subs. Alba said, love a RTP crash out. Thank you. Pamela, thanks for the laughing discos. Alb, also for that. Blue Chew said, glory to be to the Father and to the Son and to the Holy Doctor, as his diaper was full in the beginning and is now and ever shall be, world without Dems. Amen. Thank you. I added a new Blue Chew. I don't know which one it is. Is it this one? Fun fact, your dad's dead. Fun fact, I'm a necrophiliac. Blue Chew. Give me all the dicks. Well done, Bassy. Also, for my MAGA friends, while I get a drink of water, this is just a PSA about your own health for your prostate and for your penis. You can do a Kegel experience. What you want to do, Lispy, is you want to pretend like you're stopping your pee. Okay, you know how you can cut off your pee when you're peeing. Do that even when you're not peeing, and that'll strengthen the muscles there, and it'll stop you from having a quick finish. Tips from RTP. There you go. Just a couple fun tips there. We're gonna add that. And thank you for the RTP out of context thread. I think all those were made by Bowsy. If you want to see more shit out of context that I said, you can join our Discord, which is free. And then you can go to the RTB Out of Context channel, put on some headphones if you're around people that you don't want to hear some awful shit, because there is some awful shit that I've said. It's been a really interesting thing, dating again, and people find out what I do for a job, and as I get to know people a little better, then I'm like, all right, you can kind of see. I feel like, honest to God, I swear to God, I'll just say it. I am no longer in the dating pool, so shout out me. The apps are done for a while, hopefully forever. I've taken myself out of the dating pool. I got snatched up, and that's going really well, and that's about as much as I'm going to say about that. But I did feel like in sharing my job, I'm like, you probably need to see some of the shit that I say out of context. And so I just sitting there the other day, I was like, here, they just gave me my phone. I was like, you can watch a lot of this stuff. And it wasn't great. I got to be honest. It wasn't, the look on her face wasn't great. But we worked through that. So you did not cost me, don't tell Brie. Does Brie know? She doesn't. You didn't cost me a relationship, or I guess I didn't. And she did think it was funny. So there you go. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. You guys know I don't share much about my dating life, but that's as much as you're going to know. You probably won't ever get any real details there, but I appreciate you guys saying that you're happy for me. I am very happy. No fixing with this person. I did not settle down with a conservative, so you don't need to worry about that. It is not Lauren Boebert. I am not the one that will be doing any of the fixing here. So thank you guys for being supportive that way. Okay. Last one here with Russ Vought. Who approved her? Nobody. Jen did. Jen knew. Jen, no. Jen, did you approve? I don't even know if you did an approval. Did you approve, Jen? She didn't not approve.
Well, I mean, I found out about it kind of like after the fact. So, I mean, it's not like you were.
No. You were the first one to know. You were the first one to know.
Well, no, I knew. Yes, I knew you were going on a date. That's true. Actually, you didn't. You did give me a heads up. I think you said something like this might be, and not in a bad way. You said like this might be a problem. Like she was good. Like this might be a problem for you because she seemed like she was solid. It was a good option.
Yeah, she'll figure it out. She'll figure it out eventually. She's a very kind, sweet human being. So yeah, it might be a problem for her, not so much for me. It's not Lauren Boebert, no. But we may go see Beetlejuice.
Ew.
All right, let's keep going here. Here is Russ Vought with
South Carolina, and you have
Gabe.
5
It's
minutes
Amo, I
to
think.
my friend.
And he is from I can't remember.
Mr. Amo from Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Thank you
Also not a state, but somehow they have representation.
Very much, Mr. Chairman, for holding this much needed oversight hearing. Director, I'm sure you know you've got a lot of nicknames, things like Grim Reaper, but I'm not here to call you names. I am here to call you out on the pain that you've inflicted on Rhode Islanders and Americans who are fed up. And I want to get to the point, so I'll keep.
Godzilla God King says, shout out to all the men in chat wanting RTP to be on Grindr / have a boyfriend. I'm glad this space feels enough for all of you to be free in your sexuality. I agree. I got to tell you, there's not many things that make you feel better as a man than gay guys hitting on you. They're so good at it. They make you feel like $1 million. I've never felt so good about myself than some of our friends here, some of our gay friends here hitting on me. I love it. Doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. Makes me feel really good. Thank you for hitting on me. You can continue to do that. That's fine. And Blue Chew says, shout out to Chat's dad for going steady with RTP. I'm tired of you making us look like whiny little bitches. I'm tired of it. I would like if people looked at America and said, hey, these people are skeptical of their government. We try and be like, hey, we're not just lining up to suck the dick. I've been stretching my mouth. I've been preparing for this. Oh, so Kash Patel, put it in there. Pete Hegseth, put it in there. Donald Trump, put it in there. Blue Chew, give me all the dicks. There we go. I was uncomfortable with saying nice things, so I had to play that. All right, back to the video.
things simple. I've got a few yes or no questions. Should Americans have access to medical care? Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, that's great that we're in agreement, because if you cared about the sick, you wouldn't be forcing states to make impossible decisions about who will feel the pain of Trump and Republicans' cruel healthcare cuts from that big ugly law. So bad that you keep renaming it. You've rebranded it about 3 times now. Kids with disabilities.
And it works. It works on Republicans. We got to stop calling it the one big beautiful bill. Okay, cool. What are we going to call it? The working families tax cut. Great. How did it help working families? Well, we did cut their taxes, but then we raised their prices on everything else. So they're still losing money. Yeah, but nobody will figure it out.
Patients, seniors, who do you think should feel the pain? You have forced Rhode Island to make impossible decisions about who should suffer. You want us to believe that we can't afford to help my sick constituents. But you claim it's smart budgeting to request $1.5 trillion in defense funding for a department that already has more money than they know what to do with to fight illegal wars. I've got another question for you. Should hungry children be fed, yes or no?
Yes, and they are.
Look, I would believe you if your shutdown strategy didn't put 144,000 Rhode Islanders at risk of going hungry.
Our shutdown strategy?
Yes, your shutdown.
Really?
Yes, because,
who's the one who voted against those bills?
Sir, you have had a position where
Which bills, Russ? Which bills, Russ? He's so shocked by this. Are you talking about the bill that passed in the Senate that the House won't vote on because Mike Johnson said no? How can you blame Democrats for a shutdown when Republicans control both chambers? How do you do that? And Democrats have passed a bill, and there's a bill they're willing to pass. How's that work? Oh, I know. Your entire voting base is dipshits, so you can just say whatever you want.
Have seen shutdowns as ways to break federal workers, as ways to hurt the American people. I'm reclaiming my time.
Caused that shutdown.
I'm reclaiming my time, sir. Was $6 a day too generous for you? Look, from Woonsocket to Providence, in the 1st Congressional District of Rhode Island, I visited food banks.
It takes Democrats to vote, dum-dum.
That wasn't my question, dum-dum. I said, how do you blame it on Democrats? Because Republicans are the ones refusing to vote. Democrats in the Senate did vote. Democrats in the House said, we will vote for this bill. Republicans, Mike Johnson specifically, said, we're not even going to give you a chance to vote. Do you understand what's happening right now in America? Do you understand it at all? America has a bill, a funding bill that they agree on. Republicans and Democrats agree on this bill. And the only reason it hasn't passed is because Mike Johnson will not allow a vote. He wouldn't refuse to allow them to vote if he thought the bill was going to die, because then he still wins, right? The problem Mike Johnson has here is that it'll pass, and then they lose their favorite talking point, because things are going so poorly with this administration. You guys fuck up everything so goddamn bad that now you are holding Congress hostage from passing bills to end a partial government shutdown, because if you don't, you will lose a talking point of it's the Dems' fault. That's how fucked we are in America right now. That's how fucked the Trump administration and MAGA Republicans are, that they won't even do what's best for the country because they won't then be able to blame Democrats for something that's going wrong. They would rather things stay bad and keep that talking point, because you have fucked up things so badly and you have so little to show for a year and 4 months of leadership that you are now resorting to, we're not going to do anything because then we can't blame the Dems. That's the reality of where we're at right now. Members of Congress that you voted for, that represent you, aren't even allowed to vote on things because Mike Johnson said so. And you still show up here and go, it's probably the Dems' fault. That's probably what it is. A little bit of research and a basic understanding of how bills are passed would make it so that you didn't look so goddamn dumb.
Thanks. And I've seen the struggle to keep up with rising demand from hungry Rhode Islanders. And that's thanks.
Barney, one more time. Guys, everybody help Barney with this. It takes 218 votes to pass. There are more than 218 votes to pass it, Barney. You can't vote on something that the Speaker of the House won't allow you to vote on. You understand? It's like voting for It's like voting for Kelly Clarkson on American Idol right now. You fucking can't. Why? Because there's no there's no mechanism to do that. All of these people in Congress cannot vote on it. They have to. The way that it works is Mike Johnson brings the bill to the floor and allows a vote. He hasn't done that. And he hasn't done that because it will pass. Are we there now? Do we need to explain it one more time? I'm honestly, I'm proud of you for knowing how many votes it takes to pass. I think like that puts you right at the top of the class for Republicans. You're top-notch Republican. But they can't vote on something that isn't brought to the floor. So that's why it hasn't been voted on. Good on that now?
Thanks to your cruelty. Look, I have seen your actions, and I want you to take time with this particular question because you brought up it being our shutdown. Do you think a lot of good comes from government shutdowns, yes or no?
No.
Well, do you disagree with President Trump then?
Uh-oh.
Because that's a quote from President Trump. You don't care about the 1.4 million Americans who missed a paycheck.
Rhode Island is a real place, as is Vermont. I was born in Rhode Island and lived in Vermont. After all, my nickname is Johnny Longtrail. Well, now, Johnny, I'm starting to think that you're not real. I don't know what to do about this. I love you, and now I think you're not real.
during Trump's shutdown last year. You want public servants, as you said, to be viewed as villains. From air traffic controllers to naval officers to VA employees. I heard constituents harmed by your shutdown. There is nothing good about that. It's damaging to real people, sir.
You caused it. You voted for it.
Look,
you were the person that, with all of your votes,
Mr. Vote, just like you did with Doge, you think that good things come from.
Nobody voted for a shutdown. It's pathetic. You guys need better Republicans. You do. You deserve better. Not much better, but you deserve a little better.
From breaking people. You have said it's fine to break things and pick up the pieces later. I didn't make up these words. Those are your words. That has no regard to Rhode Islanders who are still trying to put their lives together, people around this country who are still trying to put their lives together. If you don't know your own words, how can you show up here to speak? Look, I'm going to wrap up because I don't want to afford you more time to tell more lies to the American people. You don't get to override Congress because you disagree with how funds are spent. You don't get to force government shutdowns to break people. Your decisions have done nothing but hurt my constituents. They don't need Washington bureaucrats like you making funding decisions that upend their lives. And you've said a lot of things today.
That's the point. Agree or disagree with this budget, agree or disagree with the spending. This administration has decided that Congress approves money and then they get to pick and choose. And Russ Vought made up a theory called unitary executive theory. They literally, when they say like they do magic math, they also do magic theory. This isn't the law. It's a theory that they made up. And that is how they are operating the government. And the Republicans are just going along with it. They're like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, let's ignore the Constitution. And instead, let's all follow this theory from Russ Vought. It's soft fascism. Well, we thought it was going to be hard fascism, but we should have realized that keeping it hard is difficult for you guys. And so it's soft fascism. But that's what's happening right here. That's what this entire hearing is about. That they just are picking and choosing where to spend money, and it's already appropriated by Congress. They're not allowed to do that. They're saying, try and stop us.
Watch some of your participation from my office. I saw some of it here. And your actions reveal the truth despite your words. When given the choice, you have chosen cruelty and chaos over billionaires over and over and over again. Billionaires, cruelty, chaos. You attacked healthcare. You put food for hungry kids at risk. You ignored Congress. You jacked up prices. The American people are fed up.
COVID was hard fascism. It was a virus, dummy, and you spelled fascism wrong.
Read every poll. And you embrace shutdowns that hurt working people. So at its core, sir, I don't think you value the American people. Your disregard for their lives is creating a great
John Silskin, you said you were leaving 5 minutes ago. You lying bitch. What are you complaining about still? You already said goodbye. You already said bye.
Amount of pain. And as you're hearing from our side, our constituents are paying the price. Yet you put forward a budget that grows but cuts again at the things that help the American people. So I hope you have time to reflect on that and the pain that you're inflicting on constituents around this country.
I don't know what's up with that mic at the end. Look at him. Look at Jeff.
Hey, I'm glad somebody's directed this shit to go to the right places.
I'll give you $100, Jeff, if you know any. Just tell me one place they redirected money. Prove to these people that you are not a fascist cuck right now. That like you're not the fascist. You're just a cuck to fascism. Jeff Ellis, in the comments, tell us one place money has been redirected. Just prove that you're not out here just cucking for the fascists, please. I promise you. I don't think you know, but give us a shot. All right. We want to go. We got about an hour and 20 minutes. Oh, we got plenty of time. I want to go. I want to get out of the congressional hearings. We'll come back to it. I wanted to talk a little bit about economics. And first, I want to go here. The reality of where we live. I came across this video the other day. Shout out to this dude. This is Thread Guy. I don't know who this is. Seems like a decent enough person. Or at Not Thread Guy. So I don't know if you know who this is. This is an alarming statistic.
Coachella just ended week 1, and 60% of ticket sales from Coachella were using Klarna buy now, pay later. Okay? I don't give a fuck what the inflation numbers say. No normal person can afford anything. Everybody is taking out loans on their food.
How's our buddy Swallow doing? I hope he's doing very poorly. I hope that currently somebody is smacking him in the face. Thanks for asking.
On their Uber rides, on their tickets to go to concerts. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you have to buy now, pay later, take out a loan on your Coachella ticket, you cannot afford it. Okay? You cannot afford to go to Coachella.
This is what we call late stage capitalism. And this is the difference between conservatives and progressives. Identifying the problem and then moving towards the solution. We can all identify the same problem. It's very stupid to buy tickets that you can't afford, right? What we also can identify is that historically you could afford tickets. Historically, there wasn't an option for buy now, pay later. And this is the main difference. Conservatives will tell you that the problem is the consumer and that the consumers just need to act more appropriately because they are cucks. A progressive would say this option shouldn't exist. This type of business shouldn't exist because it incentivizes bad behavior, and people that aren't necessarily financially secure, or people who say, like, I'm willing to carry a little bit of debt to go to Coachella, they will buy these tickets. We will never stop consumers from over-consuming. So we should create an environment and an economy where you don't have this option to scale things up where people are taking on debt. And there's real reasons for this. The real reason for this is because eventually the debt becomes overwhelming and then the whole fucking thing collapses. And that is the criticism of capitalism. We should be honest about this. But the solution here is this shouldn't exist. This type of company should not exist, shouldn't be allowed to exist. Because if it didn't exist, Coachella would be forced to sell tickets for cheaper because people don't have the money to buy the tickets. So instead of our response, and instead of forcing markets to operate like markets are supposed to, we instead create these other companies that allow the markets to operate in a different way. And I don't know where Coachella sells their tickets, but I'm going to guess that it has something to do with Ticketmaster. So now you have Coachella tickets through Ticketmaster, and you have to pay all these excessive fees through Ticketmaster, so your Coachella tickets naturally go up. Then you have a resale market where people that get their tickets early, then they're like, oh, I'm gonna buy tickets to resell these tickets at a higher rate. And then Coachella's like, uh-oh, we got a problem. And then here comes in Klarna, and Klarna's like, hey, we've got an idea. We'll let these people split this purchase up into 12 payments with, and you look at them, it's like 28% interest. And people are like, oh, I can do 12 payments of $60 a month. I can do that. And then this inflates the price of everything else. This shouldn't exist. We shouldn't be proud of this. We should do something about this. And this is why conservatives desperately, desperately need to lose. And you'll be thankful. We'll fix it for you. The progressives will come in and we'll fix this stuff for you. But we need you guys to lose badly for a while.
And so what happens in a scenario where all food, all consumer goods are being bought on credit that the people don't have? Well,
Ticketmaster is also the problem. And 2 weeks ago, we showed that More Perfect Union about Ticketmaster. So it's all of them. Ticketmaster also shouldn't exist. Both of these companies shouldn't exist, and things would be cheaper.
On a long enough time frame, they just don't pay. None of these people are paying, just like the people that are doing buy now, pay later on Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets are also not paying. And they're not paying because they cannot afford to pay. They're just not going to pay. And so this collapses at some point, right? You see the Michael Burry, there's a bubble clip. Eventually, a business like Klarna is just going to be fucking, like, let's look. This is the buy now, pay later stock, okay? Who could have imagined that giving people money they don't have to buy stuff they can't?
You know why this stock goes down? Because people see the balance that they're carrying. So Klarna is they go and they pay Ticketmaster, right? They pay that up front, and then they collect the interest on the backside. What you're seeing here is Klarna starting to have higher default rates, and they're sitting on a ton of debt. And the only way for them to stay in business is to keep accumulating debt. And so we were what, like $55? How far out is this? This is 3 months ago. And now we're down to $13.98. This is collapse. When you're seeing this across the board with companies that are carrying a ton of debt, you're going to see collapse. But what happens when this all collapses? You lose, I lose, we all lose. The people that own Klarna might lose, and then the billionaires that have all the liquidity and all the power will just come in and they'll suck up all these companies and they'll come out of it richer than ever. And then Republicans will be like, it's the Dems' fault. Some of those companies were from California.
Can't afford was not going to be a very profitable business model. Well, apparently Klarna didn't know.
American here, I quit feeding my kids and all these problems solve themselves. That's one way to do it. Starve them kids. That'll do it. Natalie said, thanks for all you do and to keep Jen happy. Thank you, Natalie. Good to see you. I think I got that one. All right. Now I'm going to go down, Jen, to, or whoever's doing, who is it? Oh, it's Casey. I'm going to go down to 13. We've gotten to the point now, and well, we're going to go back to more perfect union, but we've gotten to this weird point now where we are commodifying everything. There's not really any more good ideas, or at least not enough good ideas. And the people right now in this country that are making the most money, they're not coming up with innovative ideas that make your life better. They're companies like Kalshi and Polymarket who have decided that it's not enough for Americans to just live their everyday life. They should be able to gamble their money on everything. And so More Perfect Union got an email, they'll cover this, from Polymarket saying, hey, we'd love to work with you. We'd like to work out some sort of sponsorship agreement with you. And so More Perfect Union, who doesn't take that type of money, and Polymarket should have known that, was like, okay, let's go do our research. This will probably take the rest of the time because I'm going to jump in a bunch, but I think this is really important. Just a reminder, we are crowdfunded, so anything you can do to help us knock out that gift goal would be greatly appreciated. You have done an amazing job, and I appreciate you guys, as always, for allowing us to do this job day in and day out. About an hour and 15 minutes, and I got to go pick up my daughter, but enjoy.
Prediction markets
have exploded.
It's so entertaining.
Platforms like Polymarket, Kalshi.
Polymarket.
If you had me saying potato on Polymarket, you just made a ton of money.
Well, Jay Rezi, you're going to find out how prediction markets are legal. They're going to talk about that. They shouldn't be.
A few weeks ago, Polymarket reached out to More Perfect Union wanting to collaborate. Specifically, they wanted us to integrate their odds into our reporting to give you new insights into the issues that we cover. So naturally, before diving into a partnership, we had to do our due diligence and look a little closer at their business model and the big claims that Polymarket's CEO likes to make.
The thing that drives me is that there are billions of people who could find value in this. A diverse group of market participants is more accurate than any given expert. It's the most accurate thing we have as mankind right now, until someone else creates some sort of super crystal ball.
Kalshi, their biggest competitor.
Barney, we're talking about prediction markets right now. We're not talking about the civil rights movement currently. You're way late on that. Stay on subject, please.
Competitor makes similar grand claims.
It actually enhances democracy in a way. It increases voter engagement.
It's actually the best mechanism to get more truth about who's actually going to win.
You might see
I actually do agree that these markets increase voter engagement. I do agree with that. But what I think it does more than that is entrench people. Because if you have a sizable bet on a certain candidate winning, if something comes out about that candidate that you find appalling, you're probably, a lot of people are just gonna be like, I'm not gonna care about that. Like, I have money. So this incentivizes people to bet and become more entrenched.
Ads from them about how you'll make rent trading on their platform, or how you can quit your part-time job. Looking at how these companies pitch themselves closely.
Sorry, Sandra said, thank you for what you do. I'm 81 and believe I'm still learning. Sandra, I hope I'm you. You give voice to things I believe. Your language doesn't offend me. I probably say worse. Well, thank God. I do say some shit. Sorry about that. Johnny said the original Coachella was to boycott and go against the system. Yeah, great point. Of which Ticketmaster and said companies exploited said people with. That's such a good point, Johnny. I don't know why I didn't think of that. That's a really good point. And Illusion said, oh, yeah, boy, you said default rates, eat the rich. I might have read that already.
really important. Because the thing is, prediction markets don't just exist in a void. They're deeply related to the larger structural problems in our economy right now. At a time when every day has a new political or economic crisis, from multiple foreign conflicts, domestic unrest, sweeping layoffs supposedly due to AI, massive budget cuts to social welfare programs, and the crippling of the American retirement, Polymarket and Kalshi are seemingly offering working class people a solution. You can regain control of the chaos, get an inside edge on our rigged economy, and stand to make tons of money. But is that true? We dug into their marketing tactics, talked to experts, and went to their grocery store to ask, will prediction markets give working people more power?
The long-term Did you guys know that Polymarket has a free grocery store? I didn't know that.
Is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion.
Or by financializing everything, are they recreating the worst aspects of the system they claim to be fighting? To get a better idea of what Polymarket is all about, we went to a recent project of theirs that we could get behind. A totally free grocery store in New York City.
Do you know about prediction markets?
Nah, I don't know about that. It was only free for a week? I didn't know that.
Familiar with it, but I wouldn't say I know it fully in depth.
I've heard some tell about them. They hedge against whether you win or lose. Yeah, I don't actually like that.
They're doing good.
They're doing good. Like, everything's expensive in New York. It's good to have something like this.
So my question is, why is Polymarket trying to...
Was that a cello? It sounded like a bass meme. You might be right. We might have just been in the deep end of a cello.
To impress working class people with these marketing stunts. We'll get back to that later. But to get some basic definitions down, we reached out to an expert. Dustin Gauker is a seasoned journalist, an expert on the gambling industry, and writes a newsletter specifically on prediction markets. So we sat down to talk.
A prediction market is where you trade on outcomes of events in the real world, yes or no. Simple as that.
All right, this is the best explanation. So if you're confused so far, and maybe you're checking out right now, pay attention to this. This is how prediction markets work. This will help explain it. It's far less complicated than like betting markets. And I know I talk about crypto and betting and these type of markets all the time, and some people check out. But if you understand this next part, the rest of the video makes a lot more sense.
Bet on who's going to win an election. Is it Kamala Harris or is it Donald Trump? Who's going to win tonight's basketball game, the Lakers or the Knicks? It is that times 1,000, anything that could happen. Will there be more than 12 inches of snow in New York tomorrow? Kalshi, for instance, all contracts are $1. If something is 50-50, you're buying a contract for 50 cents. Somebody is buying the other side of your contract for 50 cents. At the end, one of you gets $1.
The idea here is that the current market price...
So if it's every contract's $1, you're buying into a percentage of that contract. Obviously, if it's like 60%, then you're going to get 40%. You're going to get like 40 cents on top of your 60 cents that you get back. But if you bet on something and you're on the low side of that, like you say, you buy in at 20 cents and then you wind up winning, then you're going to get 80 cents on top of the 20 cents that you get returned. So it's a higher return on investment. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions on how that works?
Is the probability the event will happen.
In the final month of the campaign, most pollsters were saying the race was too close to call. But that was conventional wisdom. Polymarket relied on...
Kalshi's not a Trump venture. Don Jr. has been put, I think on Kalshi, he's been put on the board, but they were already in existence before. All of these markets existed before Trump was president. They were huge during the election. They really blew up during COVID and during the election.
The wisdom of crowds and correctly predicted the outcome.
In theory, the financial incentives here force people to be honest. If you're wrong, you lose money, so you better be right. This is supposed to be the ultimate filter, signal from noise, the truth machine, with enough people to...
Ash said groypers are bitches, spread the word.
Taking part in these bets with enough liquidity, you get more accuracy. There's no house in this transaction, as prediction market companies are really fond of reminding us. They don't care if you win or lose, unlike sports books. They're just facilitating the transaction. It's matching. Sounds almost friendly.
This is one of the weird parts. Like, I'm not sure how they're going to monetize this. So with a sports book, if you're sports betting, they call it juice or vig. It's basically a percentage. So if I want to bet on, let's say I want to bet on the Knicks to beat the Lakers, and there's no, let's just say the spread's 4.5 points, whatever. I'm going to pay and I'm going to bet $100. To win $100, I have to bet 110. I'm going to bet $110. If I win, they're going to give me back $210. The 100 that I won plus the 110 that I initially bet. So my $110 bet will net me I'll get back 210. If I bet 110, I lose. Obviously, the casino made $110, and they only paid out 100, and that's where the casino makes their money, just on that margin. But in Kalshi, they don't actually take a percentage of that. So there's they're really operating at like a massive negative, and they're also paying a bunch of people to go out and promote this. My guess is what they're doing is they're becoming like a data mining company, and they're going to use this data and they're going to sell it to businesses and to politicians as a way to predict outcomes. That's seems to be what they're doing. I mean, they've said that, but I don't know how effective that's going to be. We'll see.
But there's a catch to all this. For these markets to be truth machines, to get the most accurate predictions, they actually...
I'm not propping this up. I think this is bad, bud. God, Barney, you struggle, bud. This is late stage capitalism. This is bad, Barney. This is bad. We don't want this, Barney. We're explaining crypto and gambling. Boy, bud. Oh, for like 1 million today.
We kind of need insider trading. Take a look at this market, for example. What will happen before the video game Grand Theft Auto 6 is released? A lot of people know the answer to these questions. People who work on Drake or Rihanna's teams, or who work for their record labels. Maybe you work at OpenAI and you know the release date for GPT-6. You should probably place a big bet and get some money for that knowledge. The markets are meant to price the probability of the event, so they incentivize people who have high conviction, people who have insider information, to come collect their bounty.
Barney, I gave it a platform to criticize it. That's how this works. Barney doesn't understand. Barney if Barney, I think, lives in a world where if he's watching something, he's just like, oh, I agree with this. Yeah, buddy, we're criticizing it. Have you been watching any of this?
By placing big bets on sure things. Placing these bets pushes the market probability in the right direction, making the prediction market more accurate because you know the answer. But it also means in a lot of cases, these markets are inherently unfair.
There's been advocates, including Polymarket CEO, that insider information gets us to the truth or gets us to more accurate probabilities. And honestly, not wrong. If that's the goal of a prediction market, you actually want insiders trading into it.
This is Dr. Robin Hanson, seen by many as the godfather of modern prediction markets, held up by the Polymarket CEO as the expert.
In a prediction market, there aren't investors, it's a betting market. We create the prediction market in order to learn things about the company. If the main purpose is to get more accurate prices, then basically we want as many insiders as we could. Insiders is great, please. Insider trading, it's just not really an issue for prediction markets.
Now,
that's a crazy thing to say. The prediction market is about money. If you have insiders, then if you're an insider, for example, you don't want anybody to know what you know. In fact, you are going to be incentivized to put out information that is the opposite, because the lower you can buy a share for, the more money you're going to make. So what they're talking about here with these insider traders is it's like Kalshi and Polymarket are making this argument that by allowing insider trading, it's going to give more accurate results. But it's the opposite, because the incentive for them is to put out misinformation to drive people onto one side of the bet, so that when they take their position in the bet, they do it with a better return on investment. This argument doesn't make any fucking sense. I think they know that it doesn't make any fucking sense. They're just saying it, and because dummies are like, oh, that does make sense. Yeah, more experts means more honest. No, then they just lie. That's why you see some of these predictions that, like, in hindsight, you're like, oh, that was pretty predictable. Especially the stuff when it comes to like oil and like bombing Iran, like political stuff. You'll see leading up to these big bets, Trump will be saying the exact opposite, and then all of a sudden he'll flip overnight, and then we'll find out like somebody made a fortune on that bet because it didn't seem possible.
Prediction markets would respond to this criticism in a few ways. Kalshi says they're rolling out new tools to find insiders. They require ID verification to trade now. Polymarket recently rolled out their own new insider trading rules months later. But the simple fact is they can't possibly police all the traffic that they're getting.
the Oscars, Rotten Tomatoes scores for movies, how many streams there will be in Spotify. Like surveillance will catch a large bet that's abnormal, right? But the whole universe of people who has this information, across all of these markets is in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Yes, they know who you are, but can they definitively say this is insider trading? Or can somebody who works at Spotify just tell a friend, hey, look, I know who's going to have the most streams today? How are you going to catch that?
And there's another problem here. What even is an insider in the case of a global event? Senator Chris Murphy has had his eyes on prediction market insider trading, so we sat down to talk about it.
So when you go on Polymarket or Kalshi, you assume there's some system in place that is assuring that the bet you are making is not rigged. But all of the bets on government action are rigged because somebody in government knows the outcome. Many of the other...
One thing to also think about when we're talking about these betting markets is that this is money that people are pumping in here that isn't going elsewhere in our economy. This doesn't stimulate our economy. It doesn't help growth. And a lot of these people now that are on the wrong end of this, they're just chasing. It becomes an addiction. It is, you can call it prediction markets, you can call it whatever you want. It's gambling. So this is money that's not circulating. And I know I haven't used Kalshi in a while, but I know a lot of times you can use a credit card. You can use cryptocurrency. You can buy cryptocurrency with a credit card. So there's people legitimately going into massive debt trying to chase what they've lost. And again, sometimes it's the difference between conservatives who I love free market capitalism. They allow things that are predatory to exist in the name of freedom, and it fucks the entire economy as a whole because we're not willing to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. But the bigger picture here is not only is this hurting people, not only is it creating a less democratic country, but it's also hurting businesses. It'll hurt tourism in Las Vegas, places where they have casinos, which whatever you think about casinos. But this takes money out of the market and it turns our entire economy into gambling, which is that what we want? All the richest people in our country right now are just gamblers with insider information. That's how you get rich right now in this country. Is that really the sign of a solid country? Is that a solid economy? Is that something that you can build the future on? Probably not.
Other bets are rigged as well.
You know where Polymarket doesn't exist? Communism. Facts. There's no currency. This is a good argument for communism. It wouldn't exist because there's no currency. Good point.
Because there's a handful of very powerful people who know the answer to that question and are pushing the markets in one direction.
His stance was that these rigged markets, ones where thousands of people know the outcomes, shouldn't be traded at all. And honestly, it's pretty hard to disagree with that.
If it's a rigged market, if somebody knows the outcome ahead of time, you can't offer a bet on it. That seems pretty simple.
Even defining an insider in this context seems impossible. I mean, what about this guy who sat outside the Super Bowl rehearsals with a listening device so he could time how long the national anthem would be before betting on prediction markets? Is he an insider? I mean, I know he's literally outside of the stadium, but in this case, he had information that the public didn't have. And we can't even solve insider trading in traditional financial markets where people have been trading for decades. Oil traders made millions just hours ahead of an Iran announcement from...
And that's our economy. The red, white, and blue, who created a constitution and a country based on freedom and the ability to worship how you want and have your own business, have economic freedom. Came out, we industrialized. We did a lot of cool things. We built airplanes. We went to the moon. We built cars. We did a lot of really cool things. And then we traded that all in for a casino. And now we're just a casino. We are Las Vegas. And if any of you have been to Las Vegas, it's starting to feel, and you have just a sick feeling about being in America, it's just kind of gross every day. Yeah, I know if you tune into this show every day, it's just kind of gross. That's how Vegas feels. There's lights, there's rides, there's shows, there's good food, and you get distracted, but then after a while, you're like, ugh. Kind of gross. This is just, there's nothing to this. This is just all chase, 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 chase. We took the Las Vegas model and we've turned it, and that's what our economy is. It should be no surprise that the exasperation of this comes from a president who was a failed casino owner. But think about what our economy is. Think about what the Trump administration consistently brags about now. I mean, you can go back to the Biden and the Obama administrations too about what they brag about. We're always bragging about like the Dow and the stock market. Well, what is it? It's legitimately speculation. And that's basically what we offer to the world. We offer to the world the stock market, access to be able to exponentially grow your money. But in order to exponentially grow your money this way, like people also need to be losing money. And that's where we're at now, where the people with all the money and all the insider information, they've been able to buy positions in the government. They're literally running government programs. They have all the leverage. And so now they're like, how can we magnify this leverage? How can we accelerate our growth on this leverage? Oh, let's tell everybody that we'll level the playing field with prediction markets. And everybody's like, yeah, nice. Finally, not a rigged thing. And then they just rig the whole fucking thing. And now they're just stealing money from everyday people. There's no, like, these trades, some of us might not care. Some of you might not care when you see a big trade that's obviously insider trading, either with oil or in these prediction markets. Somebody got fucked there. They lied. It was deceitful. And they won. Somebody on the other end of that got fucked. I don't think we should celebrate this. There's a reason that these prediction markets are heavily regulated other places or not allowed at all, but not in America. They tell you this is about freedom. The billionaires create companies, spend hundreds of millions of dollars advertising to you that this is freedom, so that you're like, oh yeah, this is freedom. Vote for this. And you're like, all right, I'll vote for freedom. Blame the poor people. Blame the people who lose their money. Don't blame the system. Okay, we'll do that. And they're like, cool, now we get all the money.
President Trump in traditional financial markets. Why should we believe that a couple of tech bro startups have solved the problem?
Happy Thursday to you as well, Becky.
That no one else could.
You know, let's take, for instance, a bet on what I'm going to say in this interview. We're taping it. There's a whole bunch of people in the room right now. They all know what I said. They're going to go out and tell a whole bunch of other people what I said. There's going to be, you know, by the end of today, 100 potential people.
Thank you, Torrente. That's called risk. No fucking shit, bud. That's what I just said. Nobody's confused about what this is. You saying it's called risk. You act like our economy just has to be this way, and this is the way that it needs to go. No. We don't. It doesn't have to be this way. We could regulate. We could do better things with our money. We could encourage investment. We could not give like addictive apps on people's phones to them. We can try and help our economy grow in a scalable way that distributes wages more equally. You guys always act like the economy is what it is. This is what my dad used to do all the time. It drives me nuts, but we don't talk about politics ever now. But he would do this thing. Like I remember when he lost his business, and he was a contractor. I guess he didn't really lose his business. Just eventually, like he couldn't compete anymore. But my dad was a general contractor, and he worked for himself. He didn't have employees. He would hire out subcontractors. But he had a really good name. He had a really good reputation in a business, and he built custom homes. And where I lived in Utah, it was all custom homes. We had virtually no like planned communities. And then they started changing the laws in Utah. And suddenly you had all these investment opportunities where you could put your money in a fund, and they would go up and they'd buy massive plots of land. And then you had these developers who would develop these massive plots of land, and they'd all essentially be spec homes, right? You got one of like three options, and they build these homes in these master plan communities. They were really efficient. They were trying to make their money and their margins as efficiently as they could. But then what it left with people like my dad, who, again, I don't think that you should have to risk losing your livelihood because you don't want to be rich or you don't care about being rich. My dad didn't care about being rich. My dad cared about being able to pay the bills and being able to spend time with like at home with his family and not having to work for somebody. And so eventually he lost his company because he couldn't go out and compete for land anymore because he was up against somebody with $100 million. He's not going to be able to, he can't outbid them. And so he lost. And I remember talking to him about at one point when he switched to another business of his that he had created. He was like, yeah, that's just how it is. The people with all the money eventually win. And it was like, I didn't think about it at the time, but I think about it all the time now. Like, oh, that explains why you're a conservative. Because a bad thing happened and you were like, oh, can't change it. That's just how it is. We better just accept it. And then the same thing happened, fortunately, years later with his, he had a bathroom mirror company, and essentially the same thing happened. He would sell a good amount of bathroom mirrors, and he sold them online into like local suppliers. But he had a mirror distributor. He would give him like 1/4-inch beveled mirror. He had invented a hinge on these bathroom mirrors that gave you like a recessed cabinet where you could flush mount it on the wall. He still owns the patent today, and everybody just rips off his patent. He didn't ever do anything about it. But eventually, the mirror manufacturer was like, "Hey, we can't sell to you anymore because we have these other people that are buying in bulk, and they buy way more than you, and so they have to be our priority." And then eventually, he just couldn't buy, and then now people have just recreated his product with his hinge, and he doesn't have the money to sue them, and they just straight up stole his product. That stuff should be protected in this country. We shouldn't make it so easy for people with a lot of money to just bury other people's businesses. I've watched this my whole life. And I watched it in a conservative town where everybody just like bent over and took it. And that's why I have such strong views about conservatives being cucky little bitches who, when they have the opportunity, are like, I'll just bend over. Because I remember when Walmart came to our town, and I remember like the arguments with our neighbor was the mayor. And I remember people like being against Walmart, and they're like, it's going to hurt small business. And they're like, no, this is an opportunity. They're going to employ all these people. Walmart came in, and within 5 years, all the local tire shops were gone. All the grocery stores were gone. There were two like produce stores, just produce, gone. Walmart wiped all of them out. Business owners, employees, people with retirements in some cases. And Walmart just came in and undercut everybody, and it was gone. And they didn't replace all the jobs. And the jobs that they did create were low-paying jobs. It didn't help our community. In fact, what it did is it created a divide in our town. If any of you are familiar with where I grew up in Pleasant Grove, Utah, you know where State Street is. State Street is the divide. And it created like an actual like class divide in Linden and in Pleasant Grove, where like on the west side of State Street, that's where the poor people live, and on the east side of State Street, that's where the wealthier people live. And then that has just gotten like further and further, where like the wealthier people have moved up the mountain, and now there's like a clear disparity between the wealthy and the poor, and the middle class is kind of eroding. There was no foresight. It was everybody's doing this. Everybody else is just giving into Walmart, so we have to, because that's what everybody else is doing. That's just capitalism, baby. That's just America, baby. And we just hand that over to them every fucking time. And now we're where we are now. Like forever in this, like the history of America, however this all like sorts out, Ronald Reagan will be remembered as probably the worst president in American history for introducing trickle-down economics and fucking up the entire thing. And for centuries, people will be like, how did it take them like 70 years and a total economic collapse before they realized trickle-down economics is a complete and total scam run by the wealthy? And like you guys will be the subjects. You that are still here like, oh, Reagan was great. This is perfect. You'll be the subjects. They'll be like, how did these dumb motherfuckers watch this happen and celebrate it the whole way through and keep calling Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump good presidents? How'd that happen?
Can bet on that market knowing they're going to make money. Restricting me and me alone from making that bet is pointless. You should be restricted from making that bet. Everybody in this room should be restricted from making that bet. But that exercise of deciding who has inside information and who doesn't, that's like, it's fruitless. You're never going to be able to track down everybody that heard what I said in this interview.
Okay, so setting aside the insider trading mess, here's the real kicker. Prediction markets aren't even as accurate as they advertise.
The most interesting example recently is the February jobs report. They forecasted 60,000 jobs would be added in February. Guess what? Job report was down. They weren't even close. They were like a delta.
Why do you think they got that so wrong? Because it's just a bunch of government bureaucrats that do math. Probably don't get paid that much that are putting these numbers together. If we had like Scott Bessent, if he was the one putting this together in the Trump cabinet, they would have got this number correct, and they would have all said it was going to be, higher, and then they would have made a bet that it would be negative.
150,000 jobs.
Take a look at this recent study out of Vanderbilt University that looked at prediction markets in the 2024 election. While 93% of predicted markets correctly predicted outcomes better than chance, accuracy fell to 78% on call
better
sheet
than chance. Yeah, that's good.
And 67% on Polymarket. So the Polymarket CEO was on 60 Minutes taking a victory lap, and the markets on his platform were barely better than a coin flip.
You should go watch the 60 Minutes. It was really good. Just a reminder, guys, we got about 45 minutes. The gift goal's almost wiped out, so I appreciate that. If you want me to read any of your comments, Super Chats, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, I'd love your engagement. While you're here, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel wherever you're watching. And on Monday, we'll be doing a movie night. I'll announce the movie tomorrow in our Discord. If you'd like to join us for that event, make sure you're a paid member either on YouTube or Twitch, not TikTok, because we're fucked on TikTok. If you have a TikTok membership, if I were you, I would just move it to Twitch or YouTube. I wouldn't even worry about being a member on TikTok anymore. I don't know if we'll ever get that account back, but when we do, it's kind of a shitty membership for you because they pull us off so often. So if you have a TikTok membership right now and you still want to be a member, I would just go cancel it. It might automatically cancel now that because we're perma-banned, allegedly, and I would move it to YouTube or to Twitch.
These markets aren't all that accurate, and the core of the business model depends on insiders to help finding the truth. Who is winning here, and more importantly, who's losing?
Or both.
If history has taught us anything, it's not to root against the underdog. Where your voice becomes a position.
These are deeply uncertain economic times, so it's tempting to turn to platforms like prediction markets as a way to get ahead. For a lot of young people, it can feel like prediction markets are offering a means of success when the traditional paths have been denied to them. You can see that idea constantly.
It does look like Gavin McInnes a little bit. Like Gavin McInnes without all the hatred.
In how these companies describe their markets. These are investments, they're event contracts, used for hedging risk. It's the democratization of finance. You can see it in how they talk about information. They're the future of news. They're covering all the breaking information. They're monitoring the situation for you. And you can see it in how they advertise.
Sunlit Angels, thank you for a great show. Fuck MAGA. Thank you.
Themselves.
The great thing, it's like a way to monetize your knowledge. Same way like an Uber driver monetizes their free time by driving. If you have extra knowledge and read news, you can monetize it and speculate, and it's okay.
I think this is the most pernicious part of prediction markets. The slick ads, the financial phrases, the PR stunts. It's all meant to take advantage of your economic anxieties. But hey, you know what? Some people will get paid for this. How many people exactly? Well, one analysis showed that 0.04% of traders were capturing nearly 70% of the profits. Doesn't exactly sound like the democratization of finance as we know it. For the other 99.
Robert, if you can't stay away, you might as well learn something, bud. Maybe just learn something, talk a little less. You could learn something today.
0.96%.
It's the same thing every day. I end up winning 4 or 5 bets, and then once I build my value, I make one bet that changes it all back to the beginning.
This is why I quit before when I used to do sports betting. And then once I was banned from all the sports books, I started like just doing picks online. And it was going well, honestly. That's kind of how I built a good amount of my TikTok following before I switched to this. But it was this type of shit, these messages from people that are like, oh, I was doing good, and then I took that bet, and I put the whole bankroll on that bet, and now I'm broke and I can't pay my rent. And I was like, I just don't want to be part of this anymore. This is the shit that gets depressing.
I have lost like $25,000 on sports betting. How do I fix this?
Long story short, I had an unexpected financial emergency.
Said Dollar Train, fuck Robert. Sorry, Robert.
And I'm really short rent money and really desperate. Does anyone have a low money, under $20 high payoff bet with a strong chance bet I can tail? Thanks.
I started pretty irresponsibly, and so here I am at minus 14K. But I'm confident if I stay disciplined, I'll make it out.
This is shockingly common.
Robert, I'm going to time you out. You've said this. The Waltons give money to the Democrats. I'm not a Democrat. Fuck all billionaires. All billionaires are bad. Every Democrat who takes a dime from the Waltons can go fuck themselves. Stop talking to me like I'm a Democrat and that I like money. Like, fuck the Waltons. The Waltons are evil. Fuck them. Fuck everybody who takes $1 from them. And also a little bit fuck you, because you've already asked me that same goddamn question a million times. Stop playing this team sport here. You've been here long enough, Robert. You know I don't like Democrats. You know I don't like I don't like anybody who takes corporate money or PAC money. Stop it. Learn something today, Robert. We're timing you out if you can't stay on subject. This is your last chance. You have to stay on subject the rest of the time. Mods, free reign on Robert. If Robert's not talking about directly what's on the video today, we're timing you out. And then Robert's going to go and complain and be like, you time out people who disagree with you. No. You can disagree all day, but you have to stay on topic. Thank you.
The work.
Corvette Girl Robin said, I'm gambling on you and Jen today. Oh, yeah, fuck off, Robert. Can't learn if you're constantly running your mouth, bud. True.
About how to, if people come trade specific event, how to get them to trade on other events, and how do we cross-sell them, and how do they basically come back, and how do we make sure that they stay engaged.
These people are donating liquidity, adding money to the markets for insiders and professionals to collect their bounty. Because no matter how much they use the term investment, it turns out
they're mostly being used to gamble. It is so people can gamble on things, whether it's sports. And again, mostly it's sports, at least in the U.S.
How much of it is sports?
85 to 90% right now. Kalshi is the leader in the U.S. At Polymarket, it's different. It's more like 40% is sports and 60% is everything else.
Good point. And fuck the Broncos.
This is people gambling.
Take a look at the front page of Kalshi on any given day.
This is what I love. This is how they get around this, by the way. So they will, like, for example, here in the college basketball tournament, you'll see Michigan and Arizona, and they don't use real logos. If you're actually taking sports betting, if you're FanDuel, if you're DraftKings, if you're Caesars or whatever, you have to be licensed, and you have to, like, the government has to give you a license, and you can use all the actual licensing, and there's rules and regulations that are governed by the government so that you don't do insider trading. This is what's fucking crazy about this. They just get to say, oh, it's a Michigan basketball team and an Arizona basketball team. And because they're not using their actual likeness, this is how they get around it. And they're saying you're not betting on the game, you're betting on the outcome, you're not betting on the teams, and they don't do like prop bets. For those that were asking how this is possible, this is how. And it should be shut down, but the Trump administration is not going to shut down. His kids are on the board. I think Don Jr. might be on the board of both Polymarket and Kalshi. Remember, even let's talk some more shit about libs. How about the fucking Young Turks? The Young Turks are sponsored by Polymarket. They took a bunch of money, and now their studio is called the Polymarket Studio. Was that good? The Young Turks, the ones that are consistently talking about oh, we're for the working class, we're for the people. As soon as that check showed up, suddenly Cenk's like, you know what? They're not so bad, and maybe I ought to start going on more right-wing podcasts. And then Anna, once she got paid, is like, I also don't like trans people. Fuck the Young Turks. They sold out to this company, who is, just destroying lives over and over and over again, and destroying democracy. This is bad for democracy.
It's basically all you'll see, sports. And when it's not sports, the other...
You did not miss the RFK segment. If we don't get to it today, I'm getting to it tomorrow.
10% seems to also be gambling. Some people are betting on whether or not the price of Bitcoin will go up or down every 15 minutes. You can bet on whether or not Clavicular will be the next Ayatollah of Iran. They might call them event contracts, but if you're betting on the Super Bowl coin toss, you aren't investing, you're gambling. But don't just take it from me. Look at this early ad Kalshi used to run. Sports betting is legal in all 50 states. It's not, by the way. Kalshi is now offering a $1 billion prize if you predict a perfect March Madness bracket. And the way that CEO Tariq Mansour promoted it is one of the most blatant examples of their direct...
LCD said, if you're not gay, why did you gaze into my eyes while washing my balls at Golden Hills Golf Course? Fuck, where's Golden Hills Golf Course? Who is this? Hold on one second. I'll keep playing it.
Appeal to working people. 90 minutes left to attempt generational wealth. That's the CEO of an online casino saying you owe
I've never played that one.
It to your grandchildren to place bets at a time when Americans are making early withdrawals from their retirement accounts at record rates.
Right. Lee said, fuck Robert, fuck MAGA.
Again, prediction markets are occupying this very strange position in the economy where the message seems to be you will own nothing, save nothing, and gamble everything. So given that these markets are obviously gambling, why are they so interested in pretending that it's not?
Now a member of RTP, not the Young Turks. Thank you. If you have a Young Turks membership, you should join over here instead. Fuck the Young Turks.
Historically, every time there's truly groundbreaking financial innovation, it has been called gambling.
Well, first of all, they don't want you to know how much you'll probably lose. One report from a Citizens Bank analyst showed that prediction market traders actually lost more than they would have on traditional sports books in the first 3 months. And for this story, I talked to prediction market traders, journalists, experts on gambling and public health, and here's what I heard from all of these people consistently. We are in the middle of a gambling public health crisis, and this crisis is hitting young men particularly badly. We've taken a very addictive behavior and we've put it in the hands of...
Just one more thing women have to worry about when dating. I was asked this question multiple times when I was in the dating pool. Like, do you gamble? And it's I have a lot of friends who are dealing with this right now. They do target men, and this is a real problem for men, especially in a world where men are now being told by all these influencers that their value is their money. And everybody, you think, I'm just telling you, you think that you can win. You think that you're going to be ahead of these markets. You always think that you have a good gut instinct, and you wind up losing.
Everyone, everywhere, all the time. You don't have to make a trip to your bookie or to the casino. Place a bet on the game, any game, no restrictions. The casino is in your...
Will said, Antifa dues and congrats on having taken a lover. Please don't ever say it that way ever again, but thank you. She's wonderful.
Pocket. On prediction markets, the age of participation is 18 instead of 21. So get started even earlier. When you combine the addictiveness of these platforms, the availability, and the uncertain economic times, you get a potent combination. And being part of this wave of gambling crashing over young Americans, profiting from their suffering, it's not a good look. Which is why you'll notice that they're very careful with their language. It's why they've mostly stopped running ads using the word betting. It's why they shut down their short-lived Kalshi U program to partner with college kids and make campus clubs. It's
crazy that they even had that.
PR. Kalshi in particular is being taken to court in multiple class action lawsuits. This one claims that Kalshi deceives sports bettors by pretending to not offer gambling. They even point out that all that no house stuff they're always talking about isn't strictly true. Sometimes Kalshi, the company, is the one on the other side of the event contract, meaning they collect the full winnings if you lose. So I guess there is a house after all. But beyond the massive...
Yeah, exactly, Alicia Marie. They're just... yeah. I mean, this whole thing is, if you can step outside, again, just a 50,000 foot view, like, is this good or bad for the economy? And that seems to be where we struggle as Americans, is like, is it good or bad, or should everything be allowed? And I do think that largely, like, conservative men and libertarian men think just everything should be allowed. That's a hell of an assumption. We all know. Everybody knows there's a lot of fucking idiots in this world. Why do we pretend that people are just going to act responsibly? Because even for those who use Kalshi and they're responsible, is it really like a big benefit? No. Does it need to be there? No.
Harms to our public health. The difference between the words investing and gambling is a difference of billions of dollars.
If I'm Tarek Mansour, why do I absolutely want to be regulated by the CFTC and not by, say, the New York State Gambling Commission?
Well, that's a no-brainer because you don't pay taxes to the state. The CFTC just exists to, like, here, you can do markets. Do what you want. There's regulation around that, but if you're a state-regulated sportsbook in New York, you're paying a 51% tax. You have to pay a licensing fee to offer a sportsbook in that state.
Mute Robert for 5 minutes. Robert, I asked you to stay on subject. That's a 5-minute mute for you, bud. Good try.
And then multiply that by every state that has sports betting that's been legalized. Regulated sportsbooks have to do something on problem gambling. They have to provide a number that people, if they want to get help, they can get help.
Why have a bank offering credit cards on campus with risk of bankruptcy when you can bleed students dry a la carte, $5 to $100 at a time? Yeah.
Tools to help them if they are in
No,
trouble.
too late, Robert.
If the
Too late.
prediction
You got
markets
5
are
minutes.
regulated federally by the CFTC, they get to dodge all of this. No high taxes, no onerous regulations, no restrictions on which states you can play in. Now, Kalshi is being sued by over a dozen states, most of them saying, hey, this is clearly gambling, and you need to abide by our state laws, get a license, and provide protections. But the CFTC...
Why do you think the federal government isn't issuing any of these lawsuits? Do you think that has anything to do with Trump's kids being on the board? Probably not, right? How come the federal government's doing nothing, but only states are?
The chairman is coming out in prediction markets defense.
Today, the CFTC is taking an important step to ensure that these markets have a place.
Trump is coming here to Pinnacle High School with Erica Kirk. It seems like that should be illegal. That way we pay for something like this. They are Pinnacle High School. Fuck, yeah, Pinnacle High School is like it's douchebag MAGA. Like, wherever you live, if you live in a big metro area, and there's like a wealthy MAGA part, that's where they're going. Pinnacle High School. It's just like the douchebags of the douchebags of the douchebags. So that actually makes perfect sense for Erica Kirk.
Here in America.
Thanks,
to
Mars
those
Bars. I
who
appreciate
seek
that.
to challenge our authority in this space, we will see you in court.
And I'm sure this has nothing to do with the fact that Donald Trump Jr. is a strategic advisor to both Kalshi and Polymarket. Earlier in this story, we talked about the potential utility of prediction markets. And I want to be clear, I do think that's real. I think they do have the potential to aggregate information in a novel and useful way. But currently, it seems to just be that. Potential, not reality. Currently, it's gambling, sports betting, betting on war, and exploitation of economic anxieties. Products and companies should be evaluated on what they do the majority of the time, not what their potential is. So let me put it to you this way. Imagine I've made a machine with a big red button. When you press the button, 9 times out of 10, this machine punches you directly in the face. 1 out of 10 times, it feeds you a cookie. Have I made a nice cookie machine? Or is this just a machine that punches you in the face? This is the reality of prediction markets.
So, let's get back to that Instagram DM that started.
I bet 9 out of 10 times Robert can't find the red button.
This whole thing. As we were wrapping up our piece, we started to see more reporting on prediction markets that told us something important. We're actually just one outlet that they reached out to. These companies now have entire networks of paid influencers and social media boosters. They even reach out specifically to young female influencers to attract more women to the industry. And they're courting powerful players from both parties to help them open doors in Washington. This is clearly all part of their broader strategy. These PR stunts, the free grocery store, the influencer networks, all just make it easier for them to prey on economically vulnerable working people. That's why some people, like AOC, have called for advertising bans, modeled off tobacco regulations.
It's always notice who it always is. It's always the same people fighting against corrupt companies. And it's always the ones that Republicans try and demonize and call stupid and call socialists and call communists. It couldn't have anything to do with their donors. Like, you guys are just puppets. Everybody you hate, legitimately, if you want to figure out who the best people in Congress are, the least corrupt people in Congress, just listen to who Republicans hate. The names that come out the most are almost exclusively the best people in Congress. Now you're just hurting my feelings, young kings, bestie. Stop it. He is overrated. You're right about that.
Markets are clearly, obviously gambling, and they should be regulated at the state level by the proper authorities, the ones who will actually hold them accountable, make them provide reasonable protections, change the way they advertise, and who they can put their online casinos in the hands of. And beyond that, some type of markets, they probably shouldn't exist at all, as Senator Chris Murphy proposed. The cost of financializing everything can be seen in this one quote from the Kalshi subreddit.
Took a loan of $2,000, had $1,000 to my name, went all in, had a pretty good 5 days run, lost everything. What should I do? Rent, phone bill, everything is coming in a few days. I tried taking the risk to move my mom out and make her proud, but I have failed her and myself. Please give me some advice.
That shouldn't exist. Jackie said, I'm so happy. You're happy? Thank you, Jackie. I'm really happy. Happier than I've been. Like, I love this job, and I've been very happy doing this job. But in my personal life, I can tell you just it's the happiest I've been in a long time. So thank you for saying that, and I hope it shows. We mute facts anyways. Okay. Give us some facts, bud. All right, good. We do have time for RFK. I'm glad we got to that. Go back. Let's go back to some members of Congress. This is. Did I have any more on? I think we got through all of Russ Vought. Here is Representative Doggett with RFK, and what he's talking about here is immediately, or for some reason, I assume because Biden did something. Biden found there were like 850 brokers, like insurance brokers, who were committing, or they were suspected of committing fraud through the ACA marketplace, the Obamacare marketplace. And so the Biden administration decided to suspend these brokers because they were actually committed to stopping waste, fraud, and abuse. Anybody want to guess what the Trump administration did to those 850 brokers? Some of you may know. Feel free if you know. The Doge folks, the waste, fraud, and abuse folks, what do you think they did to those 850 brokers who were suspended? Yeah, they just let them right back in all at once. They just did it all at once. Come on back, boys.
CMS fully reinstated all 850 brokers and
Heart's a little
agents
quiet.
who had been suspended back in 2024.
Not raises. So these brokers, just so we're clear, these are people who sell insurance, because the ACA is a insurance marketplace. It is not government health insurance. It is private health insurance. And so these are brokers who are selling you health insurance, but they were authorized to be brokers in the ACA marketplace. But they were suspected of committing fraud, which in this case is going to be things like lying about people's income, or fudging paperwork so that people would qualify for greater benefits or lower deductibles. So they were lying, and that was costing us money because those are reimbursements that the government gives for people who qualify. And so these are people who were using the Affordable Care Act, and they were stealing from it, which is, if you remember the first part of the Trump presidency, when you guys were talking about why you were getting rid of the Affordable Care Act, it was because of waste, fraud, and abuse. But we brought back all the brokers who were doing the waste, fraud, and abuse. I bet they paid. I bet they pooled some money together and they lobbied and they got their jobs back.
Because of suspected ACA fraud. Can you guarantee to our committee today that every one of those suspected brokers and agents was thoroughly investigated and found to be innocent of any fraud, any wrongdoing, or criminal activity?
I can tell you.
Can you, sir? Yes or no? You can't answer that. That is very troubling, I must say. 850 people accused of fraud, suddenly reinstated all at once. Do you know whether any of these suspected fraudsters who were reinstated so swiftly were subject to any additional oversight under your authority? Have there been guardrails that have been put in place to ensure those 850 agents don't continue to commit fraud?
Congressman, I'm a lifelong Democrat, so I
don't care your party affiliation. We're all against frauds.
I was shocked when I came into this agency.
Were you shocked to see that 850 people who were suspended for fraud had been reinstated all at once?
I was.
Every time you open your mouth, you help Trump. Well, every time your dad opens his mouth, I drop a load in him. So
Shocked to learn that President Biden had directed my agency to stop all program integrity activities and focus on enrollment.
Taking back my time, sir.
And that's what caused the problem that
President
you're talking
Biden's
about.
administration was the one that suspended 850.
This is crazy. Yeah, the whataboutism's here. The Biden administration took out the waste, fraud, and abuse, and the Trump administration reinstated them. And RFK's answer was, I was shocked as a lifelong Democrat to see the fraud. You brought it back, bitch. You brought it back. And you don't know why. You know why he doesn't know? Because RFK doesn't do anything. Trump just does whatever he wants, and they're all just subs. They have no idea what they're doing. But one thing that RFK has done a really good job at is he's a throwback kind of guy. He knows what works and what doesn't work. And one of the things he knows about that is this the right one? That is the wrong one. One of the things he knows about is bringing back diseases that we thought we had gotten rid of. And here's the record under RFK with measles in this country.
In 2000, measles were declared eliminated in the United States. And I've got a graph behind me that shows that. Under 4 years of President Biden, there were 514 measles cases in the U.S. Under just 1 year of President Trump, there are nearly 2,300 cases. Mr. Secretary, kids have died because measles is very...
I mean, what changed? What was this spike? Then COVID. Wonder what happened. I wonder if all of the anti-vax hysteria that we've had over the last 10 years has contributed to this.
Kids have died because measles is running rampant under your watch. In large...
Yo, RTP, you are a turd. Yo, Foida, your dad paid me $10 to send him a frozen turd. And then he sent me a video of him eating it. It was weird.
Large part because President Trump allowed your conspiracy theories to run our public health. Americans need serious leadership grounded in evidence and science. Instead, we have you and this president.
That's a good burn. We want to be grounded in science. Instead, we have you. Why don't you check your dad's phone? He's got it.
Elevating misinformation and undermining basic public health. HHS should be led by professionals who respect science and data, listen to doctors, and put patients first, not by rhetoric, not by conspiracy, and not by ignoring established medical facts. So today, Mr. Secretary, this is not just about policy differences. It's about whether this department is going to protect the health of the American people or put them at greater risk.
Tough day for RFK. This is crazy. I'm going to be honest. When this is Representative. Shoot, I forgot her name. She's going to make an accusation about RFK, and sometimes an accusation sounds too crazy to be true. And generally speaking, I'm going to say it's out of context or it's too crazy to be true. I just want you to know, and we can pull it up. She has the quote. This is a real thing that RFK said. And she has the quote. You can watch the podcast. You can find the clip. He absolutely said it. He doesn't seem to remember that he said it. But this is a real thing that the person in charge of Health and Human Services said. And then we chose him to run Health and Human Services.
Mr. Secretary, you've made a number of outlandish and frankly disturbing comments both before and during your tenure as Secretary of Health and Human Services. I want to draw your attention to one of those times. In a 2024 podcast interview, you suggested that Black children on ADHD medication should be reparented. You said every Black kid is now just standardly put on Adderall, SSRI, benzos, which are known to induce violence, and that those children are going to have to go somewhere to get reparented. There is a lot to unpack.
That's real. That's a real thing he said. Every Black kid is now just standard put on Adderall, SSRIs, benzos, which are known to induce violence, and those kids are going to have a chance to go somewhere and get reparented. He absolutely said it. It was on the 19 Keys, I don't know if it's a podcast. You can get the full video. The real thing he said.
In that comment. I know that you've already answered several of the questions I was going to ask, and so I'm just going to rephrase them. Mr. Secretary, you've already admitted that you are not board certified physician, and you've already admitted that you did not go.
I had the whole video. Let me see if I can find a clip of it. I had to go through the whole podcast to find it, but I'm sure somebody has put the clip out.
To medical school. Have you ever reparented, or parented, I should say, a Black child?
I don't even know what that phrase means, and I doubt that
yes
I
or
said
no
it.
answer.
I doubt that I said that phrase. No,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to answer something that I didn't say.
You absolutely said it.
Oh, I'd like to hear the recording.
So to be
Because
clear,
it doesn't make any sense.
I'm
I
gonna
don't even know
reclaim
what
my
it
time.
means.
I don't either. That's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
we're confused too, bud.
By the way,
So to be clear, you're not a doctor, you have no medical degree, and you have no formal medical training. You have never parented a black child.
24 of the 26 HHS secretaries have not had medical
This is my
degrees.
time. And I say,
All right, let me see if this is the right clip. Let's see.
And I'm going to create these wellness farms where they can go to get off of illegal drugs, off of opiates, but also legal drugs, off of psychiatric drugs if they want to get off of SSRIs, to get off of benzos, to get off of Adderall, and to spend time, as much time as they need, 3 or 4 years if they need it, to learn to get reparented. I'm going to move it off Schedule 1, and I'm going to start collecting taxes on it. That's going to bring in $8.5 billion.
It says Latino Capitalist YouTube. I don't know if this is from Latino Town Hall live stream. This isn't the podcast he said it on.
Revenue. I'm going to dedicate that revenue to creating.
I don't think that's the right one. Let this
Wellness
keep
farms.
playing. I don't think that's not the podcast I saw. Let me see if I can find it. So he said it kind of twice.
Not a doctor, have no formal medical training, and you've never parented a black child, and yet you are suggesting that the federal government should take black children away from their families and reparent them and send them off to some wellness farm instead of providing them with evidence-based.
You're just making stuff up.
I am absolutely not making this up. Mr. Secretary, in your opinion, what factors should the federal government consider when reparenting a black child who has been on ADHD or ADD?
I don't even know what you're talking about, Congressman. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what reparenting even means.
I don't either, but you said that.
I did not say that.
I think this is it. Let's see.
Any of them who is dependent on drugs, either legal drugs or illegal drugs, psychiatric drugs, which every black kid is now just standard put on Adderall, SSRIs, benzos, which are known to induce violence. And those kids are going to have a chance to go somewhere and get reparented, to live in a community where there'll be no cell phones, no screens. You'll actually have to talk to people. And the model for this is a community that I had direct contact with because a family member of mine went there, and it's called San Padrigano's in Italy.
That's the clip of the audio. I don't know if that the part where they were showing the drugs was edited in. If that is AI generated, please somebody let me know. But that's what I saw on the podcast. So. But he did say, and he also said reparented in that other clip. So he's at least used that phrase multiple times. I have no evidence saying that it's AI generated, but that's where we're at. 15 minutes left. 15 minutes left. Goal. Where are we at? We got the gift goal almost all the way knocked out. Appreciate you guys. I'll get through the rest of these. If you want to help us knock out the remainder of that gift goal, we can do Dollar Train or whatever. PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, or Super Chats is the way that you do that. And a couple more clips, and then I gotta get the hell out of here. All right. Now one last one from RFK. This is with Representative Sanchez here.
Now, one thing that I find incredible is that you suspended this pro-vaccine messaging campaign, but somehow you're spending taxpayer dollars to drink milk shirtless in a hot tub with Kid Rock. And somehow you think that's a better public health message than informing the public about the importance of vaccines?
That's just me being petty, and I'm going to listen to it again. This is the best.
Now, one thing that I find incredible is that you suspended this pro-vaccine messaging campaign, but somehow you're spending taxpayer dollars to drink milk shirtless in a hot tub with Kid Rock. And somehow you think that's a better public health message than informing the public about the importance of vaccines?
Gentlelady's time is expired.
Really? I yield back.
You don't have anything to yield. Mr. Smuck.
I want the answer so bad. I just want to hear them talk about what their thought process was when they filmed that milk commercial shirtless in the sauna. Just want to know. Was it a milk commercial? Is that what it was? I don't even remember what it was they were promoting. Tanya, thank you very much. Appreciate you. All right, there are a couple more exchanges between other members of Congress here. This is with Secretary Wright, and again, this they touched on this earlier with Russ Vought and the way that the Trump administration is directly targeting blue states and how they've been struck down in courts, and they're saying, fuck it, we're just going to do it anyways. Like, this is true weaponization of the government. I'm tired of Republicans being allowed to use weaponization because they went after Trump. He lost all his cases. You can't cry about weaponization when you lose every time. The Trump administration is losing every time, and they keep doing. And some of these people, they're trying to convict time and time and time again, like James Comey, Letitia James, Fani Willis. They keep going after them, and they're losing every time. And every time the judges strike it down and say this is clear weaponization, and you don't have a case. And yet we still have to hear Donald Trump's bloated ass get up there every day and go, they spied on my campaign. And we still got to get a bunch of dipshits in here every day like, you guys started it. No, Donald Trump is a criminal. Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Every time one of those court cases made it to court without him being able to run out the clock, he lost. He lost 3 out of 3 times. You know how big of a fucking loser you have to be to lose 3 times and then be like, I actually won all of them? And do you know how much of a bigger loser you have to be to watch that happen and watch the person who lost 3 times say, I actually won, and then you go, yeah, he actually did win? You got to be like the dumbest motherfucker on the planet to think that Donald Trump is a victim. But here we are. This entire administration is just literally trying to hurt anybody who didn't vote for Trump.
Last year, your lawyers filed a document in federal court and wrote that, I quote, the
Thanks,
selection
Andrea.
of which DOE grant termination decisions were included in the October 2025 notice tranche was influenced by whether a grantee's address was located in a state that tends to elect and or has recently elected Democratic.
No, Zarkos, not a Democrat. I'm not associated with the Democratic Party.
Candidates, end quote. This was all
Thank you,
written
Savannah.
about in a December 2025 Washington Post article titled, Trump Administration Admits to Targeting Blue States for Energy Grant Cuts. I ask unanimous consent to enter this article on the record, Mr. Chairman. And again, that's not political opponents talking. That was your own lawyers in federal court. So my first question is simple. I think you told us today that politics played no role. Your lawyers told a federal judge it did. How do you account for the discrepancy?
Actually, they're not inconsistent. What I
Come on. They're exact opposites, but are not inconsistent.
said is the evaluation of all the projects did not take into account politics. They looked at these projects on their merits, and that piece you just read does not contradict that. It said
does.
The announcements of the projects.
The selection.
Not the evaluation.
No, it said the selection. The announcement is irrelevant. The selection is different. That's why they use the word selection. The selection of the project is the projects that you choose to fund. The announcement is when you go out there with Donald Trump and pretend that you did something great. They think you are so dumb. They are just, and they might be right. They just like, we could just say dumb shit all the time and they'll never figure it out. Thank you, Jesse.
Not the choices that were made, the timing of the announcement of some of the evaluations.
If I could.
That does not reflect at all
Not what
on the
it says.
evaluations that were done.
Your lawyers went further. They didn't deny the politics. So they argued that, and I quote, consideration of partisan politics is constitutionally permissible. They actually said that. That's the quote.
That's what his lawyers, the Trump lawyers, just so you guys know, then you can't complain about this other shit. But the Trump lawyers are in court like, actually, we can discriminate based on somebody's politics. It's fine. Discrimination is allowed based on politics.
They tried to justify it. A federal judge disagreed. What I want you to answer is that every single grant terminated in October 2025 was in a state that voted against the president. Not one red state project was touched. How do you account for that?
I think in that wording you saw the announcement, which is...
You keep saying it's not announcement, it's selection.
A timing question, not a decision question.
So the exact words from your lawyers were consideration of partisan politics is constitutionally permissible, and also, quote, the selection of which DOE grant termination decisions were included was influenced by whether a grantee's address was located in a state that tends to elect and or has recently elected Democratic candidates. So you won't
the selection of the decisions to be announced, not the
He just added announced again. Why does he keep adding announced?
decisions. Which
So I
decisions,
didn't wanna go
which were
here, Mr. Secretary.
non-political, were announced at that point in
I
time?
didn't want to go here because I do have tremendous respect for you.
Just one more time, need to point out, everybody Trump surrounds him with is a fucking idiot. And they think that you're dumb. Like, they're confident idiots. And they're just like, either they know, or I guess you guys are just all confidently stupid yourselves. You heard it. 3 times he was given the quote. 3 times he changed the quote to make an argument that the lawyers in court weren't making. The lawyers in court are saying, yeah, we did do this. And Chris Wright's like, nah, we didn't do that. And it's not what it said. It said announcement. And then they read it again and it doesn't say announcement. They think you are so stupid. And if you don't offer any pushback, I think we're all left with that conclusion that you're stupid.
I want to have a good working relationship. I genuinely do. OMB Director Vought announced these cuts on social media as canceling, and I quote, green news scam funding to fuel the left's.
By the way, just a reminder, there is no Green New Deal. We never passed a Green New Deal. That's not even a thing. Republicans use that all the time like it's real. It's not, which is most of the things that Republicans say. Almost everything you believe isn't real. It's just rhetoric that doesn't exist. The Green New Deal never passed. I don't even know if it came up for a vote. I don't think it ever even came up for a vote. It's not a thing. They just have to say that so that you get scared and you think, oh, communism.
Climate agenda, end quote. Before DOE sent a single termination notice, the president said the day before, and I am quoting, that the shutdown was an opportunity to do things that are bad for Democrats and irreversible. Are you telling this committee that was all a coincidence?
The timing, those decisions were made before then. They were made on merits and unrelated to politics.
But the lawyers said that they were not unrelated to politics and that it was targeted.
Saw was which decisions may have been announced on that day. That was not a decision made by the Department of Energy. It did not impact whether we voted thumbs up or thumbs down on any projects.
So I don't think we're going
to... It's incorrect. Thank you, Chris Wright. Good try. Is this going to be the last one? Yeah, 2 more. This was... actually, this might be the last one. They brought in Frank Bisignano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And if you remember the name Frank Bisignano, he was like... I don't know exactly what his role was with Doge, but he was a Doge cheerleader. And then I think he worked in another department, and then he became the CEO of the IRS. And he had the unfortunate opportunity to talk to Elizabeth Warren, who is one of the most brilliant people in Congress, was a professor at Harvard, quit her job at Harvard, doesn't take corporate money to come here and hold people accountable, which is why Republicans hate her, and because she's a woman, right? And she has a short haircut, so that frustrates them. And it's probably really, it's really difficult for dipshits to watch somebody so much smarter than them who could give a fuck about your opinion. But Scott Bisignano also is the person who said he had to Google the IRS when he was like what the CEO of the IRS did after he accepted the job. Like, he accepted the job and then had to Google it later. There's literally an audio recording of him saying, I accepted it and I didn't even know what it was. But here he is.
Chairman, so Mr. Bisignano.
Say Pocahontas a bunch, laugh at Elizabeth Warren. You'll see. Watch the insults on Elizabeth Warren as they come through. It'll be Pocahontas and it'll just be like, she's dumb. They have no idea who she is. She's just very intimidating to them. They don't really know why. This is an internal rage boiling up in the incels right now because we said the words Elizabeth Warren and they can't figure out what they hate about her. And I'm just here to help you. She's smarter than you and you are insecure. That's why. That's why you hate Elizabeth Warren. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
You've claimed that as CEO of the IRS, you are, quote, getting a really good outcome for the American public. And I just have some questions about what that really means. Last year, DOJ pushed out about 4,400 IRS employees whose specific job was to take calls and answer questions.
Chat, what is our return on investment with IRS agents? For every dollar we spend on an IRS agent, how many dollars do we get back? I want to see if you remember this number.
For millions of taxpayers. And then after you pushed them out, you discovered you actually needed those people to do that work. So you tried to hire a lot of them back, but you did such a bad job at that you were still short of your own hiring targets by about 1,000.
It's between, depending on the year, between $6 and $8 for every dollar we spend. So when we ran out 4,500 IRS agents, we lost revenue. Cool.
1,000 people as you got to tax filing season. And now taxpayers who call in are waiting literally twice as long on hold to get help. So, Mr.
All right, Robert, just real quick, because Robert was upset that Elizabeth Warren was dishonest about her heritage. I tend to just believe that she said what she was told by her grandmother. If you want to call her a liar, that's fine. But this IRS CEO said that they have reduced wait times by 30%. They've actually gone up. So that's a lie. So, Robert, I just need you to hold that same energy for Elizabeth Warren now for the CEO of the IRS, Robert, I think it's Bisignano.
Bisignano, which part is the really good outcome for the American people? Is it pushing out thousands of employees who are needed to help answer taxpayers' questions? Or is it unsuccessfully scrambling to rehire those workers? Or is it forcing millions of taxpayers to spend literally twice as much time waiting on the phone to get help? Where is the really good outcome?
The really good outcome is the fact that we execute against one big, beautiful bill. We have 54 million Americans who filed a Form 1A. We have 80 million Americans who...
We execute against the one big, beautiful bill, and we had a bunch of people fill out a form. That's how I measure success. Okay.
Received refunds.
I gave you 3 facts that are verified. I take it you don't dispute any of those. I want to understand how
here's the actual facts, ma'am.
I want to understand how any of those are a really good outcome.
Want to know who's also intimidated by smart women? This guy. Anybody want to guess what his job was? Anybody want to guess his background? Is he like a budget guy? Is he a mathematician? He must have worked in some sort of like in some sort of tax related industry. Nah, he's a Wall Street guy. He's a guy who's been avoiding taxes his whole life when we put him in charge of the IRS. And what did he do? Started firing people, made hold times longer, and now we're bringing in less revenue. Good job. That's a brilliant fucking thing to do. Let's hire the guy in the IRS that will bring in less money. That'll fix it.
Good outcomes. We committed to single-digit wait times on the phones. We're not having people.
We committed to single-digit wait times, but then they went up. He's saying his commitment was actually the success, not the fact that the exact opposite of what he said would happen was the success. He's now celebrating his commitment. Amazing.
The data from
the Inspector General report, the data from the Inspector General says,
Mr. Bisignano,
TIG the developed level of access increased 45%.
He has no clue what's going on. He's just reading a paper.
Mr. Bisignano, that same report, I have now seen it, says wait times on the phone doubled for people asking questions.
IVR usage and chat bots all exceeded.
You is where
wait times doubled. His response was, our usage of chat bots was exceeded.
Are those really good outcomes that you bragged about? And I take it they're not there.
No.
Just let's understand.
How about
While the Trump administration is
over
making it
90%
harder
of people,
for
over
regular folks to
90%
get
of
help
people
from the IRS, the rich are having a field day. Thanks to Donald Trump, corporations paid 65.
There's no way you guys are happy with this guy as the IRS CEO. Like, just on a performance basis, he's a fucking idiot. He doesn't have any clue what she's talking about. He didn't know what he was doing with his job. This is just some rich donor that they put in this position. Can you get one intelligent person to work in this administration?
$5 billion less in taxes last year compared with 2024. Meta alone saved $3 billion. Amazon saved over $4 billion. And just for context, that $65 billion would have been enough money to extend the Obamacare tax credits 3 times over and still had money left over, saving health care for millions of Americans. So, Mr. Bisignano, I just want to understand how
mute Robert for the rest of the time. Robert, shut the fuck up.
slashing health care for families so that Meta gets a $3 billion tax cut is a really good outcome for the American public.
Well, a really good outcome for the American public is getting...
He only remembers... He didn't get any of that. Why? If you watch this whole clip, he just takes the last 3 words that she says, or 4 words, and then he just goes with it. He has no clue what she just said.
Families, so that Meta gets a $3 billion tax cut is a really good outcome for the American public.
That's a question. How is this a good outcome for the American public that these 3 billionaires save $64 billion and Americans lose their health care? How is that a good outcome? Let's see how close his answer is.
Well, a really good outcome for the American public is getting their checks, their direct deposits within 21 days.
Fucking nailed it, dude. Fucking nailed it. They get their direct deposits within 21 days. Your whole administration is brain dead. They can't follow basic conversations. What was that? What the fuck was that? How is it a good outcome to give these guys $64 billion in tax breaks and cut healthcare? Oh, people are receiving their direct deposits timely.
What you're talking about isn't part of what the IRS is working on.
Wait. We're talking about taxes, but these were tax breaks. That's what the IRS does. That's what you guys like. That's kind of, you guys are taxes. You deal with tax revenue. In your opening statement, you said, like, we execute what's in the one big beautiful bill. You named that as one of your accomplishments, is executing what was in the one big beautiful bill, which is these tax cuts that she just referenced. You bragged 2 minutes ago about doing this, and now you're like, we're not doing that. We just are doing direct deposits.
So you think it is a good outcome that Meta gets to save $3 billion, Amazon gets $4 billion, and to pay for it, millions of Americans lose their health care? That's your view as the CEO of the IRS?
I don't see the two of them correlated, ma'am.
Ow! I have to laugh. What the fuck? What are we talking about here? I don't see how this is related. These are not correlated. What are you talking about? It's in the one big beautiful bill. You cited it. You brought it up, dummy.
Correlated in terms of those tax cuts were paid for by pushing people off their health care. Did you not follow that?
No, he didn't follow that. Yeah, we might live off this hate. Listen, if we couldn't laugh at this, like we have to, there's no other option I have but to mock this administration. There's honestly not. Otherwise, we would all just be depressed. I don't know how you expect us to handle the amount of dumb fucks you put in front of us every day and pretend that you didn't. You got a president who can't finish a fucking sentence. He hasn't finished a sentence in years. And when he does, nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about. Every time he says something, he has to send out people, and they're like, what he really meant was, I swear to God, everything he says requires other people to interpret it differently. And then you just put up this guy. He can't follow a basic conversation about how in a budget, as the IRS CEO, that they took these tax cuts, which he's responsible for now, and they used those tax cuts, or they took the money from Medicare and they used it for these tax cuts to offset, and he can't follow this conversation. If we didn't make fun of them, it'd be 3.5 hours of me crying. That's all it would be. I don't know what you guys are doing. You're hate watching us watch you guys destroy the country. And I'm like, everybody says this, but you're actually fucking doing it. You are actually fucking destroying the country. It's remarkable. We are bleeding in debt. We have lost all of our allies. Our energy crisis, the energy crisis is just beginning. Your ability to close your eyes and pretend none of this is happening and get upset at the people who know that it's happening is wild. We just watched, the last movie we watched in our Discord was Don't Look Up. You're them. The asteroid's coming and you're like, why are you looking up there? I think it's crazy that you're worried about this asteroid. That's crazy. Why are you always focusing on the negative? Then Jonah Hill, like his character's like, well, there's gold on that asteroid. We need to mine that. And that would be you. It would be you. You're like, well, actually, the United States needs to get that gold. Who's going to get it? Well, it's going to be a private company. They're going to get all that gold. Instead of worrying about this asteroid that's going to blow up the Earth, we should worry about mining the gold off of that asteroid. It's the most like accurate movie. So we have to. We just have to make fun of you. I have to laugh. I have to hate watch. Otherwise, it would just be depressing. And it still is a little depressing.
Those tax cuts, 30 million seniors. Your seniors.
Talking about $3 billion for Meta, so that paid for by people being pushed off their health care. And you're the one who said really good outcome.
It is a really good outcome for the American public here. The tax, what was enacted in the Working Family Tax Act.
Values of the Trump administration loud and clear.
Well, we still argue over whether the refusal to increase taxes is a tax cut.
Well,
Mr. Bidding.
You cut taxes, dumb fuck. That's Mike Crapo from Idaho. That's the Idaho education. You cut taxes. What Biden did was refuse to increase taxes. You cut them. That's not funny. That's like saying, if we're still arguing on whether or not if we sell less product, it will make less money. Nobody's proven that before. Your representatives are stupid too. Your whole fucking party is stupid. The whole goddamn lot of them. Can nobody do math? Can nobody look at a graph? Before this administration, 50% of our debt was attributed to two things: the Bush tax cuts and the Trump tax cuts. They significantly increase the debt. They never pay for themselves. They do the exact opposite. It's statistically true, if you can do math. But Mr. Crapo, yeah, we're doing this magic math still. We're going to watch him laugh at that again. Also, bad joke, brother.
Family Tax Act.
Values of the Trump administration loud and clear.
Well, we still argue over whether the refusal to increase taxes is a tax cut.
Well,
Mr. Bizignano,
over whether Meta is paying $3 billion less under the under the One Big Beautiful Bill than they paid the year before under taxes. They got $3 billion they got to keep, and it was paid for by millions of people who got pushed off their health care. Those are just the numbers.
Yeah. Cool. All right, MAGA. Thanks. Thanks for all the awesome stuff. Stacey said, I'm tired of living in the movie Idiocracy. It's why I think it might be worse. It might be dumber. Jen, did I miss anything? I am anti-Spaceballs. I don't think it's that funny. I'm sorry. All right. We'll be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning right here wherever you watch today. Jen, did you fill out the stuff for TikTok access? Or do I need to do that?
No, you need to do that. I spaced it.
All right. You're going to need to remind me. We'll see about tomorrow. Jen's going to remind me, and we'll see how my follow through is. But I'll see you guys tomorrow morning here. At least wherever you're watching today, we'll see you here 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, almost every weekday. Until then, until I see you, take care of yourselves. Laugh, cry, do what you need to do. Go outside and touch grass if you can't touch grass. Smoke grass if you can't smoke grass. Best of luck to you. I don't know how you're going to make it. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to your friends. Be kind to your families. Be kind to everybody if you can. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay cute and cool. Have a great summer.